Hello and welcome everybody to some NECC Marvel Rivals action. Did I just glitch out for a second? My name is Shibby. That is CB over there. I'm here for the third week in a row, I think. Yeah, I don't get any days off. I don't get any weeks off. So you guys are probably tired of seeing me. But we've got some interesting Marvel Rivals action today, CB. What teams do we have coming for us in our Division 7 matchup?
I mean, well, first, I never get tired of seeing you, Shibby, over there in the other box, sitting all cozy, which is why you're going to be here every week until the end of time. I think you're on here next week, but this week we're going to be kicking some things off with University of Southern Maine going up against Pace Cobalt Blue, and I'm really excited, not least of which because we got a couple of University of Southern Maine people in the chat spamming their own emotes. They're pretty excited to get to be here, and, we get to give them a show. It'll be fun.
Yeah, with the rosters below us for the Huskies, Akechiguro, J11, not J3, that's J3's brother, Canis 18, Unknown Bow 33, SSKC Brown, Star Killer X, and on Pace Esports side, we've got Dude with Hair 2, Johnny, just Johnny, Kibo, Triper, Choco Catadan, and Blaster 9000. Now, CB, I know every week I give my favorite name of the week here. I think it's going to go to Blaster 9000. Simple, elegant, very, very straight into the point.
I'm kind of torn between that and Choco Catadan. I think that's kind of like it's a little bit cutesy, a little bit chibi. It's got kind of like that, it's got that kind of like slice of life anime flair to it.
Fair.
I think it's also even a little bit dandadan, like that kind of title,
That's true. That's true. And they also have
a little bit more laid back, a little bit less like high stakes, a little bit less, fighting yokai and whatnot.
Yeah, but
getting down to the cafe.
You know what they're not fighting, or where they're fighting? Celestial Husk. Surprise! Shocker! That map is banned out. I wonder if NetEase is paying attention. If we just send them a list of our map bans and they say, hey, Celestial Husk is by far the most banned map in the NECC Collegiate. It doesn't matter what division, by the way, as we are going to go to a very ethical map, Burnin' T'Challa, one of my favorites out there. I love it. I think the environmental changes are amazing. I think it is a very fair Marvel Rivals to be played there.
I like that you call it ethical. I think Burnin' T'Challa is a good map as well. I think it's very diverse in the way the three sub maps all play out. You've got Institute of Science, which kind of plays more your classic domination sort of style, just that center point in the middle, not a whole lot of flash or flare. Warrior Falls, which is a real anomaly, and then Stellar Spaceport, which you've got those two kind of dueling high grounds and a sunken in point. It's very reminiscent of a lot of other King of the Hill maps from other hero shooters that are all very well regarded, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these two teams bring out. We know they're not going to be bringing out the Winter Soldier. I'm also kind of curious because this is the first time I think we've checked in on Division 7, so this is the first time we get to see what the picks and bans are like at this stage of the game.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, so nobody bothers me in chat, although I know they will. Elsa is disabled until week 5, I believe. Because it released this week, there's a 2-week waiting period on anything that kind of releases that's new. But this week, potentially, CB, we do get to see Museum of Contemplation if we get to Convoy. So we'll be seeing how some of these collegiate teams tackle that. But blitzing through the pick ban phase for both of these teams, Magneto banned away, so nothing available, and the Punisher save. Now, Punisher feels very oppressive after the changes to their ultimate charge cost, where they did get a buff. It's 300 less, and honestly, they are outpacing a lot of supports in this game.
Who was the other one that also got the ult charge? Was it Star-Lord, I think, that got the other one?
Star-Lord, yeah, and Wolverine.
And Wolverine, yeah, so those three, a little bit less Wolverine, but especially Punisher and Star-Lord, you kind of just you can slap them into any team comp and make it work, and now you can slap them into any team comp, get twice as many ultimates, and just pop off. So not a bad Protect. Also a Phoenix
Gambit.
Protect coming out from University of Southern Maine. Gambit, I think, is going to make it through at this stage, unless USM is going to be the ones to reach for that one.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing with fire. The Gambit chicken has now landed onto you here. Surely we ban it, but Gambit Punisher is a pretty good ultimate stack. Never mind. They're banning dual pool and van pool, so the only dead pool available is strat pool.
That's the first time I've ever seen 2 Deadpool bans. Usually, you just ban out the van pool, and then if someone's real desperate, they'll reach for the strat pool, but I mean, that's the only thing you really got now if you're Pace, because the USM just does not want you playing the Merc with a mouth. Pace with some protects onto the Emma and the Invis, so some good counter dive strategies coming out here. Also some good front to back options. Very, I mean, like, it ain't nothing fancy. It's very blue collar picks and bans coming out from Cobalt Blue. Very fitting.
Blue collar is definitely one way to say it. Ethical Marvel Rivals will be played. As I say that, though, Phoenix has been let through, and guys, Gambit's available. I'm not sure what Pace and Southern Maine are doing. It's one of the most broken heroes still. I think even with the hotfix coming in, I mean, Thursday, still going to be very good. But you know what? These teams definitely have their own agendas. And it looks like Nitro Orb has, like you said, desperately reached for the strat pool. Maybe that guy is just a Deadpool player, plays all three roles as Deadpool.
I mean, it's one of those unique situations where, like, if you're good on any of the roles of Deadpool, you can play all three. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna get the strat pool coming out. 2-2-2 comps from both sides, Cloak and Dagger on both sides as well. So good amount of good old-fashioned Marvel Rivals. And here's something else that's very interesting. I think even before the Terror Cape changes, a lot of Cloak and Dagger was played at lower levels of Marvel Rivals, and I shouldn't even say lower levels, but like kind of like mid levels, like very popular, very easy to play healer that you can get a lot of value from. Much like Moon Knight, but unfortunately Starkiller is going to be putting a stop to that for the time being.
Yeah, nice aim coming out from them. Gets the confirm onto Dude with Hair, and I already like this. This guy's using the whole Punisher kit, understanding when to go shotgun mode. And University of Southern Maine are going to win that first fight pretty decidedly. Not completely wiping Pace Cobalt, but taking down enough key members to force them back here.
And there's a good stagger coming out as well, and now you can have both these shield vanguards pushing up all the way here to the stairs and kind of just forcing University of Southern Maine into this choke point, or rather forcing Pace into this choke point here. They're gonna kind of struggle to build up any ultimates to be able to burst on through this, and you do see SSKC Brown able to just blink away with the Cosmic Flames downrange. Not a care in the world, not a reason to ever stress.
And Song Inferno available. Nitro Orb, though, does have the potential Pop Quiz or Banhammer. As I say that, though, even with two members going down, Keyboy is going to pop the Eternal Bond. And Akechiguro is going to respond in kind. I would have said the Eternal Bond was bad from Pace Cobalt, but I don't think we needed a match. If for USM, the Moon does get called down. Unfortunately, no one goes down on the side of USM. And instead, another near full team wipe. And something that we get to witness today, CV, is the Invisible Woman Doctor Strange team up. How do you feel about that, considering you're the Invisible Woman player? Do you think Doctor Stranges are better now?
I mean, I don't get a whole lot out of it personally as the Invis Woman, but you know, I don't have to heal my Doctor Strange as much because he gets a little bit of that healing whenever he pops that Sonic Vortex. It's, you know, a great little additional tool to have to his kit, and also kind of makes him a little bit more viable in these sorts of situations, especially when you have these double shield comps. You can set up your hit scans to be getting maximum value. As I say that, though, the hit scan on the other side gets a shot down range to Akechiguro, and now Pace have an opening.
Very, very nice block coming out from USM here. I mean, just playing really good, clean Marvel Rivals. I don't think anyone, maybe one person has gone down on the side of the Huskies throughout this whole point, but realistically, Cobalt Blue are going to pop that Eternal Bond to try to touch point, and unfortunately, they are just a hair away. The Huskies take round one in pretty convincing fashion as we come back to us. Hello!
Hey, the map's not over yet. We still got at least one more sub map to play, but overall, I think I think University of Southern Maine played that pretty cleanly. You know, you were talking about how you maybe didn't really agree with the Akechiguro's Eternal Bond match. I think it was worth it because it was the only ult that University of Southern Maine used in that fight, and then you can see Pace forced to use theirs on 2 occasions aggressively just to try and break out of that chokehold. You can see Keyboy there with 12k healing. That's off of just 1 round, and that's because they're taking so much damage in that choke that, yeah, sure, you can just farm up your strategist ults, but if you have to use them aggressively and University of Southern Maine can match your aggression, you're kind of just stuck at a net neutral.
Yeah, it's tough, especially because if you look at, like, from the numbers, like you said, the box score, oh, I'm doing so much healing, I'm outpacing their strategists, but in reality, like you mentioned, having to use it to force yourself onto point, that's exactly what the Huskies want. They want you to use your resources before that midway point. I always like to view it as there's an imaginary line halfway point on domination, and the more you can push that line into the enemy spawn and force them to use resources to push that line back, the more you win here. As the final judgment is going to come in from Starkiller, and he's going to be properly supported. I mean, the squirt gun from Punisher is going to just rain hell onto Cobalt Blue, and despite him going down, they pretty much wipe the whole team.
That ain't a squirt gun, my friend. That's a hurt gun. It puts out the hurt gun Pace Cobalt Blue, and they even made some role swaps, Nitro Orb off of the Strategist over onto the Punisher to try and match the Punisher from the other side, but all of those swaps, coupled with the fact that you had to use the Eternal Bond to try and touch on the previous point, means that Pace just don't really have any ultimates to be able to react when USM start popping there. So, I mean, that final judgment that comes out from Starkiller is essentially uncontested, and I mean, even without the ult, looks like Bro is still uncontested. Nitro Orb just walks up and catches the shell from the shotty there. Not the kind of thing you want to see if you're Pace and you're trying to get your foot in the door here.
Yeah, and Blaster and the rest of the gang are still willing to take this fight, despite not being fully grouped up. I mean, this is just fundamental Marvel rivals being disobeyed by Pace Cobalt Blue, and sure, it lands them in elimination, but you look at University of Southern Maine, the Huskies have a lot of ults to work with. Nitro Orb, though, gets a nice elim onto Brown there. Eye of Agamotto from Jay lands onto multiple members, and they're going to respond in kind with that invisible boundary, but it doesn't matter, as he's able to burst through. But Cobalt Blue might have found their first fight win this game.
Yeah, they finally get the fight that they want, and it's actually off the back of that KO that came out into Nitro Orb. Bro was still coming out of the spawn while Pace were up on the high ground, and they kind of inadvertently, or maybe we'll give it to him and say it was intentionally, set up a pinch onto University of Southern Maine, and then they were pixel perfect with that invisible boundary, so good shout out there to Chaka Cat Nuts. Did they change the name? That is not what we had in the top of the show. That's something completely different altogether now.
Yeah, well, looks like the Psionic Convergence is going to come in from unknown here. Ensong Inferno as well. Nitro Orb, though, does have the final judgment, and despite a giant Phoenix landing square on top of their head, they are properly healed and ready to square off with the Huskies. As that's another fight win tallied by Pace Cobalt. Very well played from them.
Yeah, it's an efficient one, too, and only 2 ultimates used there. They're going to be coming up on the other 4 before long. Choco Cat Nuts has made up a wealth of difference there between that 0 from using the invisible boundary the previous fight up to 6-7%. Very cool. Epic number. Love that one. Should be able to have it before it's really needed, so Pace do have the tools to surpass USM's capture progress, potentially even get themselves into that one-fight territory if they can keep this one up. And all they got to worry about is whether or not this Eye of Agamotto lands onto a backliner before that invisible boundary is up.
Oh, big Eye of Agamotto from Blaster, as well as the Scarlet Witch ult coming in, lands onto multiple members. That's going to take down Starkiller and Unknown, and a nice fade to fade out the Eye of Agamotto. Keyboy doing a fantastic job, but it might just not be enough, because the Huskies are able to take the fight win, but damn, Pace Cobalt Blue played that just about as well as you possibly could have.
Yeah, but it was Choco Cat Nuts not able to get that invisible boundary on time before the Eye of Agamotto, just like I said, but I do want to give a shout out. It's not often that you get to see a Doctor Strange land an eye and then get followed up with a reality erasure from a Scarlet Witch. Not the most common of combos, but Pace Cobalt Blue making good use of it. Now gonna have to evacuate the premises, though, as the final judgment comes out from Starkiller and splits Pace Cobalt Blue clean in half and nearly splits one of their wigs as well.
Ooh, sign of seduction coming in from Trip here. Not able to land onto multiple members, but with that, like you said, final judgment being used, a lot of their DPS has gone down. As I say that, though, Ensong Inferno comes in. A nice Eternal Bond from Keyboy. Starkiller finds the elimination onto their counterpart, Nitro Orb, and it's a 6v5. Both Eternal Bonds have been laid onto point. Canis and Choco both have invisible boundaries. It's just a matter of who's going to play first. Here's Blaster, pops the Eye of Agamotto, but lands square into the waiting hands of Unknown into the Sonic Seduction, and he gets flung off of the map. And I don't think Nitro Orb is going to be able to contest this. Well played from University of Southern Maine. It looked like Pace Cobalt might have taken us to a round 3, but the Huskies lock in and take their first map.
You gotta, I think you gotta get Starkiller off of this Punisher because Bro is a menace. I frankly cannot wait to see the damage numbers that come up here because I know that Punisher was putting up LeBron numbers, and so was J11 with these Eye of Agamottos coming out. Very clean stuff coming out from University of Southern Maine across the board. I can't really find too much of a fault in their game, but what I can find is, bro, Starkiller didn't even have the most damage. Hold up, 13k from SSKC Brown? That's actually kind of a lot there. I think a lot of it was built off of those sparks that we saw stacking up on Stellar Spaceport when you had Pace just locked in the choke, and bro was able to just let the cosmic flames fly down range one after another, and then pop, 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 Pace just popped like kettle corn.
Yeah, very well played from the Huskies there. Pretty much everybody doing their job. I mean, Unknown Bow, people are going to look at the 3 final heads and be like, oh, you just you got put in the backpack and stuff like that. But did a really good job shutting down Blaster, only limiting them to 1 final pretty much every time there was an Eye of Agamotto or there was someone threatening their supports. Unknown Bow had the diamond form grab ready to go and did their part. So very well played from them. Starkiller coming in, like you said, maybe not the most damage, but I think some of the most impactful ultimates, right? Even that last one, using it to zone away Pace Cobalt Blue to then gather more percentage. I think it's a good play, heads up play. Force the Psionic Seduction out of Pace Cobalt Blue to try to get something started. Putting pressure onto the enemy team while the percentage is ticking up forces these guys to make decisions that they don't want to do, right? Was the Psionic Seduction needed? No, but Pace Cobalt felt like they needed to do something in response.
I mean, you got to get this guy, like, just out of these angles. Like, you can't just let him be staring down your team, like, straight eye to eye. And he was doing that a lot to Nitro Orb on that Punisher duel. And so it's not just the ultimates, it's also a lot of these little instances in the neutral where, you know, you're losing the guy that's supposed to be keeping this guy in check, and you're just not going to be able to break out. You have to try and make up for that by popping something, like you said, like the Psionic Seduction, just to get him out of the way, clear a path for Pace to be able to walk through. And speaking of paths, this is one that we have trod several times, you and I. We're going to Central Park.
Yeah, I think I can close my eyes and I can probably get through the whole map with Ratataskor. Like, straight up, Central Park is, very, very popular map for pro play, collegiate, pretty much anyone that's taking any sort of level of Marvel Rivals seriously. And yeah, I mean, very, very, very understandable.
You think third map's going to be Midtown? You think we're going to go to Midtown for third map?
I mean, I didn't want to say it. But now that you've spoken into existence, CB, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is going to be Midtown. If unless we see Museum of Contemplation, it is available. Guys, I'm trying to will it into existence. This would be our first week with it available. But for Central Park, I feel like the map is relatively figured out. You did mention getting the Huskies off of that Punisher. Severe lack of Groot. It wasn't picked or banned here. Maybe not the most popular pick on domination for a lot of these players, but surely we end up seeing it in Central Park. Maybe we see a Penny as well, despite it getting nerfed.
I'm thinking because we're in Division 7, this is where we're probably going to see a Penny, because I know a lot of people down like in some of these ranks like to come out with the Penny, and Central Park is as good a place as any to bust out the Penny. Sure, she lost the Rocket Network team up, but she is still great when it comes to controlling space and being a good counter dive vanguard. So even though we haven't seen a whole lot of dive, and I think both of these teams would rather play counter dive rather than dive themselves, I think it'd be smart here. Maybe we see both. Maybe we see Penny Groot. If there's a map that it can work, it's going to be Central Park.
Yeah, Penny Groot could be pretty interesting on the defensive side here. As long as you know the setup for Penny as well, where you get the nest behind the unbreakable pillar, you extend the range with the webs. There's a lot of tech, there's a lot of nuance with Penny that you can kind of force some enemy teams to play around. But we did see the Phoenix, so maybe that'll dissuade it. It has dissuaded the Rocket, but I mean, Huskies have the momentum. I don't think they really need to change too much up. I wonder if they're going to go with the double Deadpool ban again on the Van pool and the dual pool. Honestly, I mean, you take the Van pool away, I feel like Deadpool kind of falls really, really down in the tier list. I think Van pool, as we know, CB, is by far the best version of Deadpool at the moment.
Yeah, like, I think they're all, I don't want to say they're all good because no one's playing dual pool. Like, I still am a strat pool believer, but I think that you still kind of want to have a triple strat just because you want to have another ultimate, because, Banhammer / Ponage Pound, whichever you end up using, it's a utility ultimate. You're just trying to lock one member of the enemy team out of the fight, and it's a lot easier when you are that person on the front line. When you are the tip of the spear, you can kind of just, poke your head out at anybody and say, yeah, I choose you to die, my friend, and, So kind of the whole reason that people are playing Deadpool right now, is just because of the value that ult gets.
Yeah, Banhammer, really, really good, because like you said, even if it doesn't take them out like completely, doesn't eliminate them. It forces them to kind of sit in the corner in timeout and not shoot their gun or melee. It's funny that it affects melee. So if there's a Hulk player and you banhammer them, if he's like auto binding, swinging, right, he's just gonna take constant damage. So it just forces them to not primary fire. Good, yeah, good. I guess.
I say good. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm a strategist player. I'm a #1 hater of all of the melee heroes. You know, Spider-Man, BP, if you can call him a melee hero, Iron Fist, Wolverine. Also, like, no, thank you. Like, I am more than happy to put a banhammer on any of them. Say, if you take even one swing at me, you're cooked. All right, it's Mirror Force. Everything. You know, I destroy all monsters on your side of the field.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That is exactly what it is. We'll see if Cobalt Blue has Monster Reborn here to take us to a 1-1 map score. But University of Southern Maine, sticking with their bans and protects. Magneto taken away. Dual pool has been saved. Yeah, I mean, the fact that this has been saved, I better see something absolutely crazy from Pace here. I mean, they have to have the best dual pool in the world. Because honestly, I think, CB, we could agree, it is the worst version out of the three. And to get the value that you need out of it, you have to play absolutely out of your mind, both mechanically and with the decision making on what ultimate to use and when to use it.
I will say, though, for a quick little fun fact with the dual pool, the skill issue ultimate actually does the most out of the 3 gun ultimates. Like, it actually does more damage than Ponage Pound or the Banhammer. So, you know, the stonks kind of go up. You get a little bit more value out of that ultimate if you're able to successfully land it. And I think, you know, maybe in situations like this, you're less likely to be kept in check. Although I will say, the Bucky Protect, I think, will make me kind of scared to play aggressive. You got to watch out for those hooks and can't be caught playing out of position trying to get that ultimate onto a backliner.
Yeah, that Bucky ban, by the way, usually was from Pace Cobalt. They swapped that out for the Phoenix ban, hence why, you know, USM were like, gladly, we will protect it. It's something that our team plays and provides a little bit of insurance into the dual pool. But with this final ban coming in from Pace Cobalt, are they going to remove the Strange away? They're instead going to opt in for the Hella ban. So the Hitscan Sisters, unavailable. They are taken off the map. Indicates to me that maybe there will be some dive. And Husky says, you know what? You were a little bit better on the Scarlet Witch. Normally not a very good character, but just pinching the hero pools of Pace Cobalt. You love to see it. USM is going to be on the defensive side for this map.
And it's kind of mean from USM, you know. Yeah, sure, they're going to be starting off on the defensive, but these bans are offensive as all hell. You know, that's 2 target bans. One to the Van Pool and another onto the Scarlet Witch. Not something that, like you said, that you see banned all that often, but it was, you know, one of those desperation tools that we saw Dude with Hair reach for in the previous map, and University of Southern Maine is just like, all right, well, you're not going to be reaching for that one again. But I think there is something far more sinister lurking in attacker spawn right now, and Dude with Hair once again going to be the person piloting it. It's the Moon Knight. Shout out to Soren, by the way, in the chat saying it's time to release the Hand of Khonshu, and I'm inclined to agree.
Get ready.
Not a lot of setup here. Again, Groot available, like Cobalt. The game is telling you how to play, right? It's literally screaming at you, hey, you can go Groot Moon Knight and absolutely on demand win a team fight whenever you want here. University of Southern Maine, though, gonna opt in for the Emma Strange as well as the Invisible Woman team up. Pretty much nothing has swapped over from their composition other than Brown swapping away from the Phoenix because it's banned out into the Winter Soldier that was banned in game 1. So for the Huskies, they're not really put on much pressure. While Pace, they've got what they wanted with that dual pool protect, but they lost so much in return.
Gotta keep an eye on Dude with Hair and this Moon Knight, though, because for all of the comfort picks that University of Southern Maine have, they don't really have a good tool to keep him in check. I mean, I guess they'll settle for a early KO there onto Blaster, getting caught out with that Cloak and Dagger pick coming out from Akechi Goro. So University of Southern Maine, I mean, we don't talk a whole lot about their backline, but they are just as stalwart as the front line, and just as I say that, the front line getting active as well.
Brown takes down Nitro Orb. Hand of Khonshu does come down, but kind of just thrown haphazardly, right? Just like, I'm gonna throw it. I build it up in like 5 seconds. It doesn't really matter. But you gotta be...
Yeah, he'll get another one.
He'll get another one. I mean, he's already built it up to 45% in the meantime, but Katniss does take the Moon Knight down. And the big combo I'm looking for with Pace Cobalt Blue is that Psionic Seduction into the hand of Khonshu. If you can get both of those down onto the right members, that is a team fight win, whether University of Southern Maine wants it or not here. But so far, the Huskies doing a good job holding Cobalt Blue. 2.5 minutes remain. 1.5 minutes has already passed for them with virtually no progress.
I actually like the swap off of the Moon Knight over onto the Squirrel Girl coming out from Dude with Hair, because the problem is you don't really have a whole lot of shield pressure, but that problem has now been solved. Squirrel Tsunami comes out, Invisible Boundary to soak up all the damage, but that is a huge nut that comes out, and a 3K off the Squirrel Tsunami there from Dude with Hair, and that is how you crack a defense wide open.
Yeah, just a massive ultimate from Dude with Hair. I wonder if they're going to be able to get the TP off. No, unfortunately, Jay did not have the TP timer available because they went down. Pretty much they all went down around right when the first point was ticking. So that 11 seconds, unfortunately, too long of a respawn timer. And maybe Dude with Hair has found the solution, especially into the double shield of the Huskies. This is just free real estate here as the final judgment does come in, but have to be sure not to eat too much damage. Eye of Agamotto lands, but with final judgment in effect, he's unCC'able, and Starkiller on 12 health is able to clutch the fight out.
Yeah, but 12 health is where Bro is going to be staying, because it was a 2-for-2 trade, and it was a strategist from University of Southern Maine that fell, so they're not going to be able to heal up the rest of the front line. So I have to give ground good respect coming out from University of Southern Maine, knowing better than to try and face check a Squirrel Girl when you don't got the HP to tango with her. And I mean, again, like I was talking about how I like this swap, because now you actually have something to pressure the shield. It's the problem with the Moon Knight into this double shield composition. You have to get around the shields, but with Squirrel Girl, you just go right through them.
Yeah, battering ram. In this case, Squirrel Tsunami comes out, but another one of those ultimates that builds relatively fast, especially with how much damage Dude with Hair has been doing, but has to be cognizant to not supercharge these strategist ultimates. That's the big thing. That's the double-edged sword of Squirrel Girl. Sure, you got a lot of damage, you got a lot of free damage that builds up your ultimate, but if you're not confirming any of these KOs, Canis and Akechiguro are going to be feasting on their tanks here for support ults.
And it's kind of where Nitro Orb has to come into the picture and try and find access to that backline, confirm some of those KOs, or at the very least, split the backline off so they're less interested in healing up their front line and more interesting in surviving. Psionic Seduction now going to come out from Unknown. A good Carbon Crush there onto Jay to stop the Eye of Agamotto from coming out. So Bro is going to put that shield up, backpedal, but now the Eternal Bond coming out in Pace. They want to try and take this fight right to USM.
Yeah, Invisible Boundary is going to match that Eternal Bond. Psionic Seduction could be massive here if it can get them on the tail end of this Invisible Boundary going out. And there we go. Canis does go down here. Nice focus from Pace Cobalt as they're going to take the Invisible Woman down in her Invisible Boundary. Although this time around, the Huskies should have at minimum one more fight here. If they can get the TP off, we are in two-fight territory for this point.
Nitro Orb doesn't seem to mind, though. Bro is just chilling, taking a nice little seat, popping on a stool on top of the cart, and Waltzen right on over there onto the point. No TP coming up, but an Eye of Agamotto going in deep at the heart of Pace, but there's the Invisible Boundary and the Squirrel Tsunami, and a mirror on the Eye of Agamotto, I believe, as well. And I mean, blink and you miss it. University of Southern Maine has gone as quickly as they came, and now 320 in the time bank for Pace to keep this pace up going. Able to build up to another Squirrel Tsunami. I think they have a real shot at getting a full cap here, because the USM, they tried to invest in that fight too, and they came up snake eyes.
Yeah, Kechiguro does have Eternal Bond coming up in about 10%. Might layer that on top with Starkiller's Final Judgment so that he can stay safe and sound. But Nitro Orb can do something really funny there. The Ponage Pound that you mentioned, the dual Desert Eagle ultimate, could spell doom for Starkiller if he's not landing a lot of his bullets.
It's skill issue for this one.
Skill issue? Skill issue. My lord. Yep. Okay, skill issue. Judge, Jury, Executioner, the Final Judgment does come out. Dude with Hair goes down. And instead, Nitro Orb says, I'm going to read my book and skill up one of my abilities.
Sometimes you just, want to take solace in a good book. Open the Bible, say your prayers when Starkiller is coming your way. I think that's the only thing you can really do, especially when he's got that Final Judgment. It might be what that backline needs to do as well, because Bro is just walking at them with the shoddy, and nobody even looking to stop him now. And Pace, and maybe without their backline, they can't really go for a recontest here, so we're going to get under 2 minutes before this cart starts rolling again. But in that time frame, Dude with Hair coming up on another Squirrel Tsunami, and I don't see a lot of good options to do it, because that damage can burst right through a Strategist ult, but you know, there's one solution. One quick shot to the dome from SSKC Brown.
Yeah, really nice. And turns out the Phoenix ban proving beneficial. Squirrel Girl coming back into this fight. Eternal Bond is going to be matched by Akechi Girl. Both going to be laying down the carpets for their team. Squirrel Tsunami, though, should be taken out, swiftly dealt with. And here comes the final, or sorry, the Armed in Judgment here. As now Ayabagamoto from Blaster is going to land. And there we go. We're going to see Dual Pool actually pop the pop quiz, which is going to get into the jackpot and is absolutely slicing and dicing through the rest of USM here. I can see why they saved the Dual Pool.
Yeah, and that's going to be a quad at the end and finish it off with a selfie. That one's going on the gram, my friend. I would absolutely be posting that one. Hashtag dubs, as we still have a minute left in Pace Cobalt. Thanks to some hero plays of Nitro Orb, have a chance to go for the full cap here now. And look at their ult economy. They're coming up on some big tools. If they can shut down Starkiller's Final Judgment, they have a shot here. But, oh no, there goes their best tool.
Starkiller is going to pop the Final Judgment on top of the Psionic Seduction, and meanwhile, Cannon still has Invisible Boundary. As I say that, though, they push out a little too far, but multiple members from Pace are going down. Emma is unable to survive. I don't know if they're actually... Okay, they should be good. They're okay. 25 seconds here. Blaster 9000 does have TP available. You have the opportunity to wait for the rest of your team before you pop it. Canis, though, Invisible Boundary available. You look at SSKC Brown has the Kraken impact at about 20% as Akechi Guro is going to be trying to build up towards that Eternal Bond. Invisible Boundary comes in, Silent Seduction on top, right outside of the TP, and Chaco is going to match in kind, so theirs is a little bit longer. Armed and Dangerous, though, they got off the point! Nobody touched Redataskar! Pace! Why did we TP?
I liked the TP play, to be completely honest with you, know, going for the flip, but like you said, no one touched the cards, so I think it was still in control of University of Southern Maine, and so the whole time that fight was happening, the cart was backpedaling, just inching away from where Pace wanted to take the fight, and unfortunately that means they are not going to get the full cap. And I also got to go to the penultimate fight there where the Final Judgment came out from Starkiller and Pace. They just split, they back up, they kite the damage perfectly, but one got left behind, and it was unfortunately Chaco Catnuts who was holding on to their win condition. That Invisible Boundary, the one tool that could have saved them from Starkiller's wrath, it wasn't there when they needed it. It was only there to try and go for that token recontest, and like we said, the cart just backed away. Bro was having none of that, said, "This ain't my fight."
Yeah, and I think Pace had the resources to win that fight. I mean, they played the last fight well, right? They got Husky's Invisible Woman ultimate out first. Their boundary was going to last longer on Pace Cobalt's side, which they could have then fought in to take down the Huskies and cap the point. But nobody, maybe no one was making the call, no one was paying attention, maybe they're too focused on the fight. You see 9 and nobody touches the point, which now gives the Huskies the opportunity to end this and take us to a map 3 up with a 2-0 lead. But first, they've got to get through this first point, which we have seen many teams being full held on before. And into a Squirrel Girl could be rough if you just go down that main choke.
Yeah, the question is going to be, can SSKC Brown or Starkiller find access to the high ground where Dude with the Hair is playing and force this the Squirrel Girl off of this oppressive angle that she's got right now, because it's going to be a lot of damage just constantly pumped down range, and every time your Vanguards take a hit, they're going to pop that S key, back up a couple more steps, and, you know, I mean, they're going to try and take the fight straight to Pace Cobalt Blue now, and Starkiller going to take down the other trip, so maybe they just don't worry about the Squirrel Girl. Maybe the damage just isn't enough.
Oh, Chaco does get Starkiller in return, so 1 for 1 after it's all settled and done, but they're still going to go push forward onto the base here. Nice stun, but when the rounds swap, or when the halves swap, Nitro on this Deadpool has to reskill every single ability, so he's back to a normal little Deadpool. Although he is bouncing, did get the jackpot along with that ultimate, but Akechi Guro has built up towards that Eternal Bond. Canis has gone down, though, and that's big. Invisible Boundary unavailable for Pace as they used it early, and Starkiller and the rest of the Huskies are going to look to take it as the Squirrel Tsunami comes in. Could be big if it doesn't get taken down. Nitro Orb takes down Starkiller in the process. That's 1. That's 2, but Unknown Bow takes down the rest. A TP is going to come in for this contest because Blaster went down early. And there's an Eye of Agamotto coming hot in through this portal.
Invisible Boundary coming up to try and soak up the damage, but there's that Eye of Agamotto, just like you said, and Dude with Hair is just plinking away. Somehow just managed to find a strategist. That is a bro went fishing and caught a marlin. I don't even know what else to say about that. That was, we'll call it intentional, but you and I both know deep down it was not even a little bit, but they are still able to deny the full cap from coming out. Only 2 ticks given over to University of Southern Maine. Sure, there will still be some ultimates, but there's going to be some time for Pace to try and build back up to something a little bit commensurate. If they can dodge this Eye of Agamotto that comes out from J11, maybe you have Dude with Hair hit another one of those blockades, you know, lock them down early on. Could be doable, but the Final Judgment is going to be the first thing they're going to have to concern themselves with here.
Starkiller, Final Judgment, like you said, popped, and unfortunately, Pace Cobalt don't really have much. Squirrel Stampede does get thrown out onto the map here, and you do see Nitro looking to try. Oh. Cut my sentence short.
You and I both stopped there because that was kind of clean with the shoddy flick there. That's not something you see every day.
One pump. You just got one pumped. I don't know. That guy, Starkiller, you mentioned him needing to be taken off of the Punisher. That has not happened. And in a second map in a row, has just taken over the round.
And Starkiller will make a star out of you yet, but not exactly in the way that I think he would like. And University of Southern Maine still have the ult to keep this pressure going, and Pace have failed to build up to something to be able to stop it. Invisible Battery going to be coming online, but that's their only tool.
Kachiguro pops the Eternal Bond, like you said. Choco responds in kind with the Invisible Boundary. You see Nitro trying to build towards that ultimate. Doesn't build like a traditional one, that grading system. As he gets closer and closer to that S, will be able to pop it. It's a very interesting ult mechanic, and depending on how efficient you are with the usage of the different abilities, you can bounce on people's heads, you can use the dash with the swords. You can start building it up almost every single fight here. As we do see J11 still hanging on to that Eye of Agamotto. You mentioned it. Can they dodge this out? Might be the difference maker. Big push coming out from Pace Cobalt. Squirrel Tsunami gets thrown down, as well as Nitro popping the Deadpool ultimate, and that should just allow them to run through the Huskies.
I mean, they're able to burst through the Invisible Boundary that comes out from University of Southern Maine. You know, you have the Squirrel Tsunami doing all that damage, and then Nitro Orb is in there with the ultimate just getting the cleanup, and Pace are able to shut down one of the biggest strategist ultimates in the game, and Akechiguro used the Eternal Bond early to kick that fight off previously, so now there's nothing for the side of University of Southern Maine. No strategist ults to speak of, except for, again, Chaco's Invisible Boundary soon to come online, but Sonic Seduction is going to buy that time.
Final Judgment comes in. Unfortunately, Nitro Orb is on the receiving end, although 2 members get traded out. So it's a 4v6 for the Huskies, and really nice usage of the terrain there. Unfortunately, some walls are unbreakable. Squirrel Stampede comes in and swiftly gets dispatched. Very well played from the Huskies to alleviate some of that pressure. But you look at Blaster 9000, he's looking for an opportunity to use Eye of Agamotto, and Dude with Hair bobs and weaves the ammunition through University of Southern Maine to take down Starkiller. Eye of Agamotto gets blocked for a little bit, but a counter Agamotto from J11 keeps their team alive. What a play from the Huskies.
Yes, such incredible strange play. J11 just kind of, I hate to say it, but dipping Blaster there. You know, like you said, blocking that Eye of Agamotto and then going in with a counterplay. You can't really ask for much more from your front line, but Pace are still comfortable, as it would seem. Looks like they're going to go for a teleport play. Yep. Portaling, and I guess just lobbing a few more of those nuts down range there as well, but they see some trouble at the back door. They see University of Southern Maine trying to press the advantage. Teleport play is now going to come out, and Nitro Orb is in there looking to try and take down a backliner, and does enough for Canis 18 to fall.
Yeah, who had Invisible Boundary available. That was going to be the fight win if they could actually get it down, but really good focus from Nitro there. It's going to give them...
I got a question for you, Shibby.
Yes.
Does Lord Icon do bonus damage?
Okay. I thought they nerfed the voice lines, by the way. As you do
they
see...
did, but some of them are still in the game, and some questions have still yet to go unanswered.
Yeah, we'll see if this question goes unanswered, if this round goes unanswered, as they are going to TP in for University of Southern Maine. Invisible Boundary does get thrown down, but it doesn't matter. Squirrel Tsunami is absolutely rampaging through University of Southern Maine. Natural disaster on the map, and with that TP being used, can they touch with Spider-Man? It's up to Brown right now. 1 second available. No! Cobalt are going to take the map here off of the Squirrel Girl.
I guess whether my question was answered or not, it wasn't actually the damage from the Lord Icon you had to worry about. It was Dude with Hair on that Squirrel Girl. A rare thing that we don't see a whole lot of in NECC, but when it comes out and when it is not dealt with, oh boy, does it hit like a Kendrick diss track.
40 and 10. I mean, absolutely diabolical score. I can't wait to see these finals. 21!
21 final blows!
21 finals.
Bro hit Blackjack on the Squirrel Girl. That's insane.
I mean, at least 10 or 11 of those have to be from the Squirrel Tsunami alone. That was getting multi-kills left and right. Dude with Hair coming up big. Nitro Orb, the one that they were banning away, the Huskies were like, oh, we got to make sure this guy doesn't get his Deadpool, doesn't get Vanpool or Dual Pool or whatever kind of Deadpool that he's willing to bust out here. But Dude with Hair swaps off of the Scarlet Witch, plays the Squirrel Girl in a map where it's actually pretty good because of the small lanes, the choke points. And I feel like Huskies thought they had the answer, but now they've got to go back to the drawing board. Is it an Iron Man? Is it a Storm? Do you play a Flyer? Do you play Poke? Maybe a Hawkeye here and there? A lot of questions need to be answered for the Huskies, who came out of Map 1 relatively dominant into getting dominated in Map 2.
And I think for better or for worse, Pace were one step ahead. You know, you're talking about, you know, the Hawkeye, you know, some of these Poke heroes. Hella was one of the bands that came out, and the Phoenix as well, and those are two of the best counters to Squirrel Girl. You just take her out at range, but if you can't do that, the only other way that you can counter her out is to close the distance, and in a double shield situation, it's going to be inches at a time, and that's just not good enough when you're in your attacking phase. So good read from Pace Cobalt Blue. They're able to get Nitro Orb on his comfort pick, and they're able to pump out the damage to punish this double shield look that comes out from University of Southern Maine. And I mean, I feel like now they have to try and get the Dude with Hair off of the Squirrel Girl, because if we go to Convoy, you know she's going to be good on every single one of those maps, especially the one I know you most want to see.
Yeah, I mean, if it is Museum of Contemplation, very closed door map, not a lot of open space, at least for the first 2 points until it opens up into that third one. And even then, some of those lanes, most of it's taken up by the giant inflatable Doctor Strange duck van, school bus, whatever you want to call it. So it's really tough to navigate.
The rest of it's about to be taken up by a Squirrel Tsunami, baby, unless you get that ban.
Yeah, I mean, insane, right? They opt to ban the Scarlet Witch. They say, hey, you got to play something else. And I was like, all right, I mean, I guess I'll play Squirrel Girl. Now, do the Huskies ban that away? I think they are more capable of handling the Scarlet Witch rather than the Squirrel Girl, but we'll see if they're actually able to handle it here. As before we get into Map 3, we are going to take a very short break as both of these teams are getting ready and loaded up. So if you are going to go do something, go to the bathroom, grab a quick snack. It's going to be a very short break, but don't go anywhere as we come back for some more NECC Marvel Rivals action. Told you guys it would be a very short break, so hopefully you guys are on and not roaming your house with your wireless headphones, as we're back for some more NECC Marvel Rivals action. I'm still Shibby, that's still CB, and we've still got at minimum 2 more maps between the University of Southern Maine Huskies and Pace Cobalt Blue. After Pace taking a fairly dominant Map 2, right?
3-pointer on the map choice, by the way. Just throwing that out there. I called it out. We're going to Midtown for map number 3. But yeah, no, map 2, Central Park was fairly dominant, and it all came off the back of that Squirrel Girl swap. It's kind of like, we were saying between the break, you can't play Moon Knight because the enemy team is playing double shield. I'll simply switch to Squirrel Girl, and you will get to have no shields.
Exactly. And now I'm interested in seeing if USM is going to swap over to some of the more traditional Squirrel Girl counters. You did mention, CB, that Phoenix and Hela were banned out. Potentially one of those saves that was used on the Winter Soldier that was banned out in Map 1 by Pace could be used to save either the Phoenix or the Hela that was let through later in the banning phase. Well, it won't be the Phoenix.
It ain't gonna be Phoenix. I guess Hela it is going to have to be. We shall see. I think that's a smart ban, though, because even on Burn and T'Challa, we saw,
Wow.
okay, we're gonna see the Squirrel Girl ban. That's respect, honestly. That's respect. But even back on Burn and T'Challa, we saw SSKC Brown just popping off, like I was saying, like kettle corn on that Phoenix. So a good ban coming out, but also a Mag Protect, which might also put a spanner in the works as it pertains to some of these cloak and dagger plays that we've been saying coming out from University of Southern Maine. They kind of have the same brain that I do, where they want to go aggressive with these ultimates and then land those Terror Capes at the end of it, but they might be landing in an impact crater at the end of it if Pace have anything to say about it.
Yeah, I'd love for USM to ban the Emma that's been getting so regularly saved by Pace. I think that's also been just a difference maker for Pace University right now. Their Emma ults and their Emma play has been better. You could argue USM's Doctor Strange play has been outpacing Pace, right? Sorry, I didn't even mean to make that. J11 has been outpacing Blaster 9000.
What's interesting here is Pace are still banning out some of these poke heroes, and University of Southern Maine have not gone for a Protect onto the Hela like we said, so maybe that ends up being Pace's third ban, but they're still kind of banning as though they were going to play Squirrel Girl, even though they're not. And with Mag and Emma both protected, there's still a viable double shield option on the field, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they're tempted to go back to the Moon Knight, but I think that might have about the same levels of success as we saw on Central Park, which is to say, not as much as you would have liked.
Yeah, that Hela being removed, I just don't see the value of protecting that Winter Soldier, especially because there's just so much better things to protect here, in my opinion. Now, this final ban, is it going to be the Doctor Strange? If so, then we're probably getting Mag Emma, which is a cult classic, I would say, of Marvel Rivals. Yeah. Was dominant for multiple seasons on end. Instead, they're going to remove the Moon Knight, so no spam. You're not allowed to spam anything, which I think, if the Huskies are saying, hey, you've got to play something else, maybe the Scarlet Witch that we saw, dude with hair bust out, then that'll be it. Maybe they've got the ability to take something else out, but Nitro Orb, of course he has an Iron Man in the back pocket.
Yeah, like you had to know, like with the dual pool ban and the Squirrel Girl ban, a lot of target bans coming out, Pace were going to come out with a completely different look altogether. Whether he's playing for the vibes, whether he's playing on the Iron Man, it doesn't really matter because bro is about to throw a curveball that I don't know that University of Southern Maine are going to see coming. Although I would caution against that Iron Man pick as, you're going up against a Punisher, which, we talk about how strong Phoenix and how strong Hela are. One of Iron Man's biggest ops is the Punisher, because you don't actually need to confirm the KO onto the Iron Man in order to counter him. You just need to make him play scared, not be willing to go in for some of these aggressive beam plays. Get it to where he can only really spam around corners, and all it takes is a couple of shots from a Punisher to make him fear for his life.
Yeah, you also have the Tainted Voltage from the Winter Soldier that can ground him temporarily. There are a lot of anti-air tools for University of Southern Maine, but I don't think they're expecting this Iron Man. And once they see him walk out on it, they'll be like, wait, what are we going to do about it? They've got to be able to channel those tools. Also, the Orb from Invisible Woman. Nitro Orb actually might have a tough time playing into this composition if the Huskies are going to use their tools correctly. But J11 instantly gets his shield just blasted down because of the team-up with Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange.
Yes, that Arcane Order team up, the thing that basically makes Scarlet Witch viable. And if you're going to have this Doctor Strange mirror, it's a good time to bust out the Scarlet Witch. And the more they're looking at her, the less they're going to be looking at Nitro Orb. So there's a better chance for him to fly around and find an angle and put a little bit of pressure on the back line of University of Southern Maine. Maybe, or, okay, never mind. Maybe it's the front line that needs to be looking.
Yeah, I just don't like the raw Doctor Strange pick into what Pace is throwing out here. Like, you have to play the Magneto. The survivability is just so much better. And Blaster,
oh, that's disrespect.
I mean, gets to see the dog in the afterlife. I mean, they're just dancing on this guy's body. That is very disrespectful. I wonder if the Huskies are going to use that as fuel, as both strategist ultimates, Akechiguro and Canis, do have it available. And as I say that, Eternal Bond does get popped. We'll see if Pace are willing to match it. Nitro Orb does not have that Pulse Bomb available, but instead, Reality Erasure comes in and instantly gets grabbed, denies the big Scarlet Witch ult. But you look at Pace Cobalt Blue, they've got so much left in the tank, and they don't even need it. 4 ultimates in the bank, and none have to be cashed out here as they get the first point.
Yeah, it's just, such good planning from Pace. You know, you see that early Eternal Bond come out from Akechi Guro, and they don't have the Meteor M online yet to be able to deal with it, so they have no choice but to match it, but they give it a good couple of seconds before Keyboy pops that, so they know they'll have the better ultimate and either force University of Southern Maine to overcommit, or they just end up getting the fight win outright. And fortunately for them, it ends up being the latter, and no other ultimates from Pace need to be expended. They're able to just burst through with raw damage, so 5 ults or 5 on the other side. It's still an even fight, and Pace have the momentum.
Here comes the Reality Erasure, and unfortunately does get grabbed.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it's been denied twice now, and Kraken Impact instead is going to come in. Starkiller picks up a couple, but University of Southern Maine are stunned. Ayabagamoto came in, but somehow, some way, the invincible pulse cannon was absolutely stuffed by Jay, who got that shield up at the very last second. I'm very disappointed in Pace Cobalt, CB, because you've got a Magneto, you've got a Scarlet Witch. Bubble the Reality Erasure, please, just once.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, at least Dude with Hair has lived to tell the tale both times. Like, I don't think they've confirmed a KO onto him either time he's gone for that ultimate. And, you know, both times it gets canceled, it just goes right back down to 50%. So 74%, he'll get another crack at it before long. And most likely beat Starkiller and SSKC Brown to the punch. And speaking of punches, SSKC Brown has taken a few. He needs to be healed up there from the back line. And Sonic Seduction coming out from Unknown to try and fly by there.
Starkiller, unfortunately, 1v2ing both of the duelists on Cobalt Blue side and losing, but it doesn't matter. Canis has got your back. J11 pushing Pace Cobalt back towards their spawn. Eternal Bond comes in. We do see an Ayabagamoto potentially coming in from J11 once he's ready to use it. Nitro Orb takes down Canis in the meantime. A lot of resources being used on the side of USM for not a whole lot. Kraken Impact comes in, looking for the reset onto the Bucky. Ayabagamoto lands from Blaster, and finally, never mind! Stunned down once again, but that was just a ruse, a red herring, as Pace Cobalt are able to pick up the fight win, despite not getting a single Reality Erasure off from Dude with Hair.
I am cursing Chekhov with every breath in my lungs right now because we have seen this Reality Erasure come up 3 times, and bro, that Chekhov's gun has not yet fired. We will see it by the end of Midtown. I am sure of it. We still have 2 minutes in the time bank for Pace to get that ultimate off successfully. Surely we see a wipe here, but Pace Cobalt, Pulse Cannon available for Nitro, and look at him just being absolutely unstoppable in the empowered form for Iron Man, just rifling away, or lasering away, we'll call it, onto the Huskies. J11 has swapped over to the Angela, maybe to contest the airborne threat that is Nitro Orb, but where's Blaster going? Blaster, what are you looking for somebody? Looking to try and maybe catch out a couple of errant spawners, but I think University of Southern Maine all took the fast track over to the other spawn there. But yeah, these swaps coming out, like you said, you know, the Angela I think might be a good way to deal with the Iron Man, and SSKC Brown swapping over onto the Namor. Remember, Hela and Phoenix both banned, so your options for these hit scan poke characters very limited.
Reality Erasure finally, unfortunately, does go off technically. You were right, CB, but Starkiller takes him down before the explosion comes in, and Blaster on the backside looking to do some damage. Unfortunately, does get taken out. A confident and cocky flank leads to their demise, and J11 and the rest of University of Southern Maine finally get a team fight win after getting stomped the last 3.
No, we still have a chance. Dude with Hair is sticking to his gun, staying on the Scarlet Witch. We're going to see this ult go off properly, and it will be big. It might be a little bit staggered out if we keep losing our front line like that, as Starkiller still raining down the punishment on the Punisher. Go figure. That's why he's called that. And, I mean, I don't think Nitro Orb is having the easiest time getting into a position. Good Horn of Proteus, just like you said, flattens Dude with Hair, slowing down the roll to the big bang that we all want to see. And he swaps. No.
I'll say on a technicality, CB, you were correct. We did see it go down to 0%. They did get the ult off. Unfortunately, it didn't land in any eliminations. And instead, J11 swapping over to this Angela has just been running amok in Pace's front line. As I say that, though, SSKC Brown does go down. Maximum Pulse doesn't take anyone out, unfortunately. Blaster, though, takes Starkiller away. A 4v6 onto the point right now. Pace Cobalt just looking to at least apply some pressure. A lot of time being wasted. You're not taking care of this Doctor Strange, who is contesting your cart. Unknown Bow, though, either needs to go down or back up because you've severely staggered yourself.
Yeah, you were talking about how no one's dealing with this Doctor Strange. That's because Nitro Orb was just looking right past him. I don't even see you, little bro. I see right through you, and I'm beaming down your back line, and once there's no support left, the logistic train gets cut off, and Unknown Bow forced to fall back, and ends up falling back flat on his back, and now University of Southern Maine, with that final judgment again, gonna try and force Pace out, but there's the Meteor M!
Big Eye of Agamotto lands onto multiple members for a K-Wall Blue, but University of Southern Maine eats one directly to the face and gets comboed with the final judgment. Whatever you can do, I can do better, as Pace Cobalt matches the Huskies and trounces on them. 3-0. They get it to that final point.
It's absolutely disgusting, gross, ew, 4K final judgment from Dude with Hair, but imagine if it had been a reality erasure. Just imagine, picture in your mind's eye what that would have looked like. We were denied the true hero's arc from Dude with Hair. Unfortunately, you know, he succumbed to his demons, swapped to the Punisher to match, but definitely matched up the Star Killer when it counted most, and 30 seconds in the time bank still for Pace. Not a bad offense at all, and the question for University of Southern Maine is, are they going to stick to trying to counter out Nitro Orb on this Iron Man? Because that, I think, is like the anglerfish's little light bulb head. It's the bait. It's just the thing that you're going to be staring at and walking towards, and it's actually Dude with Hair that's the teeth that's going to clamp down on you.
Get ready.
Nitro Orb is getting a ton of value off that armor overdrive. Every time I see him pop into it, he's just melting the front line of University of Southern Maine. But J11, after swapping over to the Angela, did seem a little bit more effective, even when bullying the front line and dragging either one of Blaster or Other Try into the enemy team here. So maybe we'll get some more success. I'm just not loving SSKC Brown's hero picks. Out of the Phoenix that's been banned now, has been flip-flopping between multiple heroes and just hasn't been as effective as we'd like them to be. And Starkiller having to really take on the carry load of two duelists with this Punisher, sometimes unable to do it.
Starkiller firing shots down range. You can see he really wants to keep Nitro Orb in check and is kind of split between putting the damage out on the front line and keeping that Iron Man from getting access to the back line. And is not really doing the most out of either right now, and University of Southern Maine still trying to get a little bit of forward presence going, and the more Dude with Hair is looking at Nitro Orb, the less he's going to be looking at Dude with Hair. Good kidnap, though, coming out, but it's actually going to be Starkiller that ends up falling.
Yeah, Starkiller eats a Maelstrom of Madness, and then with this armor overdrive from Nitro Orb, just look how much damage he's outputting. It's just way too much for the Huskies to deal with. And because he's allowed to just play in this more brawl-style Iron Man, we'll call it, Eternal Bond does come out from Ikechiguro, he's just able to farm that Pulse Cannon. 58% now. As I say that, though, it does go down. Apologies for the Caster Curse Pace, as they are finally going to get this teamfight win. J11 with the Axes of Doom finally are able to take down Blaster and get this convoy moving.
But that's not, like, the car's not even around the first corner yet, and Blaster going to be the last to die, so there's going to be a lot of time for Pace to go for a recontest here. They could even go for a strange TP recontest as they're all grouped up now, but they still have time to maybe go for that play. I see Dude with Hair was in turret form for a second there. I saw that silhouette there, and I was like, are we going to go for a cheeky little turret portal play? But no. Pace are just going to hoof it back over to the point and save that strange portal for a rainy day. And oh, the rain may be falling already. SSKC Brown letting those tridents rain down range.
Final Judgment comes in from Dude with Hair. Key Boy does respond with the Eternal Bond. On top of that, Canis's Invisible Boundary comes in. Meteor M has to be big here. Last time it was. Unfortunately, this time, Jay actually blocks it with the shield. Eye of Agamotto comes in and lands onto the Huskies again. That was a 4-man Agamotto into a complete team wipe. How many times can you get away with this Blaster?
I mean, with the final judgment out from Starkiller, he was trying so hard to confirm a KO onto Dude with Hair, and I do think he got it at the end there, but again, you know, if you're looking in one direction, you're not looking at another. Starkiller is being forced to look at the front line for pressure, Dude with Hair for the duel, and also Nitro Orb, who now has that Pulse Cannon. Where is he going to be lurking, and are University of Southern Maine going to be ready for it? Because I don't see a whole lot of ways that you can dodge this ultimate once it comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be an epic fumble of proportions for Nitro Orb, who does take down J11, who's trying to fly around and run that air support for the University of Southern Maine here. Finally swapping over to the Gambit Akechiguro. I like that. And they swapped over to the Loki. We are seeing some really insane strats. Heaven's Retribution comes in, lands onto multiple members, but can they actually confirm some of these eliminations? Too much shielding, and Nitro Orb actually able to take it down, living on a sliver of health. Good support from Pace Cobalt, specifically Choco, as we do see the copy onto the Gambit here, and Raging Royal Flush coming up from Unknown should give University of Southern Maine the ability to run through Pace Cobalt. But they might have one more contest. Actually, I don't think so. Blaster TP available, but is up in about 2 seconds. Yeah, they're gonna have to give this first point up. But forcing USM to a triple strategist composition just to get it, unethical gaming.
Yeah, a little bit unethical, especially considering that triple strategist line consists of Loki and Gambit, two of the most overpowered strategist heroes in the game right now. But hey, you know, Pace Cobalt have forced your hand, you know, pun sort of intended, because Gambit's, you know, his whole deal is cards.
Yeah, I love the new skin as well. I mean, just love that they're the VFX, all the cool stuff, and I like that we're seeing it from Akechiguro. I'm just surprised they didn't bust this out sooner. As we see that judge, jury, and before he's even allowed to speak, takes it downtown. Other trip, throws the Meteor M onto multiple members. Just did it in response to the final judgment. Said, wait, he's gone down. Can I just chuck this anywhere? Throws it halfway across the court. And Pace Cobalt just have a bevy of ultimates ready to go. And there's only 2 minutes for University of Southern Maine to get this second point.
Just like lackadaisically lobbing that one down range. Just comes a Raging Royal Flush from Akechiguro, and Pace have the tools to be able to shut this one down. Agamotto forces out the regen domain, and there's the Pulse Cannon. And just for good measure, we'll even toss in a Kraken Impact. It's not going to be making the biggest of impacts in the KO feed, because Nitro Orb already had his way with the entirety of University of Southern Maine, and now they get to do that holding on as well to that invisible boundary to be able to match Canis's, and you don't have to worry about either of the Royal Flushes coming out for quite some time. So this 130 in the time bank, that's going to be down to double zero before you can even blink.
Heartbreaker available for J11. Get that onto Choco. That's the big thing here. If not, then they can just respond with the invisible boundary once somebody gets low. Yeah, sure, you're taking a lot of damage, you're creating a lot of space, but you've got to confirm some of this. As I say, that Canis pops the invisible boundary first. Multiple members go down for Pace, and Choco holding on to that invisible boundary maybe for this last contest here as we're ticking down under the minute mark. J11 on this rogue doing wonders right now. But I feel like Cobalt, that was a tactical loss of the fight if I've ever seen it. As I say that though, Starkiller, final judgment available. Run! Hide! It's a big mean Punisher from University of Southern Maine as Blaster gets taken down.
Nobody else wants to be the next one to fall, courtesy of Starkiller. They are going to give it the respect that it deserves, but Choco Cat falls. J11 gets nestled in deep, and they just can't seem to deal with him. The shotgun blast now coming out from Starkiller, and surely, yes, the cap will come through for University of Southern Maine, moving on to checkpoint B, heading towards checkpoint C, and maybe even zipping up one final body bag on the way there for Starkiller. Yep, that's going to be another in the fight, and a minute 40 in the time bank to get this cart the rest of the way to try and match Pace's pace, as it were. It's hard not to say pace, because I use that term so much in my casting, and now it's the name of a school that we're casting. It's, oh god, I gotta like rewrite all of my caster brain here.
Yeah, originally I had praised Choco for saving that invisible boundary for something else, but now it just feels like they wasted it, or not wasted it, their reluctance to use it has cost them the team fight win. As we say that though, Raging Royal Flush does come in from Unknown. Meteor M unfortunately does not land onto the Eternal Bond, unfortunately misses, and here comes Kraken Impact. You've got a lot to reset with, by the way. There's a couple Loki clones, there's a couple strategists on the side of University of Southern Maine, and a nice pulse cannon from Nitro Orb lands onto both strategists of the Huskies. The invincible, unstoppable, unbreakable Iron Man is absolutely rolling through USM.
Oh, Jarvis, get that one uploaded to TikTok stat. That one is gonna do numbers for Nitro Orb. And University of Southern Maine, like, their strategy still seems a little unclear right now. Like, I can't tell if they're committed to countering Nitro or if they're just like, okay, I guess we have to deal with it. With only 30 seconds left, though, they have to commit to something. Strange TP play just to get themselves back on the cart there. Interesting placement there.
Eye of Agamotto lands onto 3 strategists. One goes down, another, and Blaster unable to confirm the rest here, but it's only Unknown Bow on the Loki, and I don't think it's enough. USM had no clue that Blaster was lurking in the shadows with an ultimate. The name on them. Starkiller Final Judgment is available. It's been ticked into overtime. I don't think they can touch, though. TP's already been used. Judge, Jury, Executioner gets thrown to the wayside. And Pace Cobalt Blue, back-to-back dominant map wins as USM are on their final legs here, potentially, as they take a loss here to Pace Cobalt Blue and go down 1-2.
If you're Nitro Orb, though, right now, you got to be feeling like a god. And I guess Blaster also earns the mantle of god after that godlike play there. Lurking in the shadows, just like you said, ready to strike with the Eye of Agamotto that University of Southern Maine, even with their own TP, couldn't have scouted out, couldn't have predicted, just weren't able to slow that one down. But my eyes drifted down to those 22 final blows from Nitro Orb. Even the Gambit Loki was not enough to slow your roll there. And you've been counterbanned so many times. They've banned your Deadpool, they've banned your Squirrel Girl. What more can you ban for this team? Because Pace seem to be in their feelings right now. They seem to feel themselves. They seem to have the confidence, the wind in their sails. They know that they can basically get away with anything and force University of Southern Maine to react to it.
Pretty much. I mean, Pace Cobalt, after that domination map, just flipped the script, turned a button on. I don't know, maybe their big brothers got on to play. Older siblings came in, and they've just been absolutely wrecking house here. 22 finals, like you said. I mean, there's nothing you can ban out. It's not an individual hero. It may look like it. Okay, it was the Squirrel Girl in map 2. It's the Iron Man in map 3. No. It's a compositional issue for the Huskies. I think if you're going to use the Gambit Loki, use it, right? Don't try to run the triple support. Yeah. Find a viable duelist answer, because unfortunately for SSKC Brown, swapping over, I know they swapped over to that Vanguard halfway through the map, but 3 finals, that's an unfortunate number, especially if you're trying to play Namor, if you're trying to play this stuff. You've got to be efficient on something. Save yourself to Hela if the Phoenix is getting banned out. I don't know if the Punisher is worth it at this stage.
It has to be the Hela, because you can tell like that Namor swap was literally because there wasn't access to the Hela or to the Phoenix, so you're just trying to keep Nitro Orb in check. And out of all the heroes left, Namor is the closest thing to another hit scan. You just kind of need to take a little bit of pressure off of Starkiller, because on the Punisher, he's in charge of the frontline damage, keeping the Iron Man in check, and also taking the duel with the other Punisher. Bro cannot do all 3, and if you don't have another hero that's good enough to make up the deficit somewhere, another hit scan that can keep the Iron Man in check so that Starkiller can focus on, the other tasks on his plate, because bro, like, he's got way too much, all right? It's a buffet. You can take multiple trips. You don't need to stack your plate up that high, my friend.
True, and I think he's going to need help from somewhere. Maybe it's the triple support, but you've got to supplement that. If you want to use like technical terms, those are 3 main supports, right? Main strategies. They all have very, very high thresholds for their ultimate charge cost. You want to supplement it. Maybe run the Loki Gambit alongside a Mantis that can damage boost Starkiller, that can put him in those positions to carry the load of 2 duelists. There's a right way and there's a wrong way to run triple support. And unfortunately for the Huskies, it felt a little bit disjointed. And like you said, Starkiller just could not take over everything, right? It is way too much for them to handle. They need some sort of support, either in the form of a second duelist that can handle whatever Nitro Orb or guy with or dude with hair is throwing at them, or with a Mantis, with an Atom potentially to res them back into these fights. Something needs to give so that the Huskies can actually win these fights properly.
I like that you mentioned Mantis, because, Huskies, if you're listening, Mantis has made it past the pick and ban phase for all 3 maps now, as a matter of fact. So that's always an option you could reach for. Have one of your duelists just flex on over to the Mantis. It's a common strat at the highest levels. And, maybe the Atom could deal with an Iron Man. Bro can fly now, so maybe you get a little bit of a dog Iron Man and Atom Warlock. That's something that the MCU hasn't given us. We could see it here.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. Adam, like you said, can fly now. Maybe that'll be the difference maker.
Get silly with it, you know? I mean, that's what Pace are doing, you know? They just embrace the silliness. Bring the Golden God, make him fly. It's the only way I think you're going to be able to get ahead here.
Yeah, maybe dumb it down even for the Huskies. I mean, Marvel Rivals is a game that kind of tells you how to play, right? Like, you have the Loki Gambit available. You've got some of these team-ups. Running the Strange into the Iron Man, into Shield Break might not be the move. You have the Magneto available. You've got all these different tools. Like, I think listening to the game a little bit and kind of, simplifying your strategies might be the move for the Huskies here. I just think it's tough because they're so dead set on running this Punisher. They're so dead set on running this sort of composition that they're stuck to. Maybe it's the only one they practice in scrims. Maybe it's the only one they're comfortable on. But at this point, you're down 1 and 2. Throw stuff out that you've been wanting to play, you've been wanting to experiment with, and maybe it'll throw the Pace off of their game.
Here's another good question for you. Is the teams are still waiting to select the map. The map pool is open back up again. So my question is, like, is there a map that maybe can kind of counteract some of these wacky off the wall picks that Pace are coming out with, that maybe you don't have to use a ban on a Squirrel Girl or on an Iron Man if you just play a map that he's bad on?
See, that's the thing. As my favorite map does get selected, Hydra, Charterra's base. Guys, I'm being sarcastic. I hate this map so much. I despise it with a passion. This is the only broadcast I can say that, by the way. Like the you know when I said Burn in T'Challa is an ethical map?
It's just like, I hate Hell's Heaven. I hate Hell's Heaven. It's like, bro, you're play-by-play. You have to cast a fight. I hate Hell's Heaven. I hate Hell's Heaven.
Hell's Heaven could be deleted. It's almost as bad, dare I say, as Celestial Husk. Burn in T'Challa, ethical Marvel Rivals. Hydra Charteris, unethical because of the way the map changes. Random stuff. It closes off. Platforms get higher, lower. It is just a very weird map, and maybe that's what the Huskies need. They did get that domination win on Burn in T'Challa. Maybe it'll get us to that 2-2. CB, we have yet to actually get a Game 5 together, and I don't know if you tuned in last week, but me and Vodible happened to get one Game 5 series. So like you said, I think it's a week-to-week curse. I don't think it matters if I'm on the desk or if I'm on the week. It doesn't matter. It's odd and evens.
That's actually good. The curse has been broken because we're already guaranteed to at least get 4 maps in this series. Usually with me, it's 3-0 sweeps. Maybe sometimes they'll be close 3-0 sweeps, which I know seems oxymoronic, but it's not. Like, it's the maps themselves play close, but one team just ends up running away with it, definitely getting the better of their counterpart. But we got a little bit of an even fight going on here. And really all it takes is for Huskies to be able to recapture that magic that got them that 2-0 Burn in T'Challa win, take that on another domination map, and I mean, well, I'll finally get to cast my first map 5 here on NECC.
It's crazy to think, because we did a full season, last semester. You didn't get a map 5. You might have the longest no map 5 streak, potentially. There's a world where you get no map 5s if Pace, lock in on this domination map. They have the momentum. They did lose the first one to the Huskies. Maybe Huskies have a map here or a pick here that can solve the problem, but with Pace banning out the Phoenix, which was the linchpin for the Huskies in Game 1, or Map 1, we'll call it, if that gets banned out again, which I don't doubt it will, I'm just really not sure what the Huskies can default to. I think like you said, you have to save the Hela. You need some sort of long-range hit scan poke. There's actually not that many in the game, so if both of them get banned out, you are Iron Man's absolute plaything.
I can also kind of see, why University of Southern Maine are hesitant to try and go for that pick, though, because, you also do want to get Star Killer on that Punisher because he has been your star player on that hero. There's the Hela Protect, though. They were listening, they downloaded it. They now know they have some long-range pokes. So whether it is the Squirrel Girl, whether it is the Iron Man, they do now have an effective tool to keep that in check. And as long as they can also get that Punisher through, if Pace don't ban that, you will get effectively your win condition set up.
Yeah, would you see the dual pull being saved though for Pace here? So now bans are in the hand of Pace. Punisher. They can remove a lot. It is going to be the Hawkeye. So there's a world where USM can ban into Protect the Punisher here and not really lose out on anything.
I think that's the play. Ban Squirrel Girl, okay, and that kind of will. I don't want to say banning the Squirrel Girl forces the Iron Man pick, because what am I even saying in Year of Our Lord 2026? But ban the Squirrel Girl, because I think she would be very effective on some of the close range, close quarters, fighting choke points, places where fights tend to break out on Hell's Heaven. So decent ban there, but the protect here, it's got to be Punisher. It's gonna be Angela. Okay.
I think this is a response into the Iron Man, just in case. My assumption is that USM don't have the ability to run double hit scan. Like, they only Starkiller plays the hit scan, right? Either Hela, Punisher, potentially, right? But it's weird because we saw Brown play the Phoenix. So, like, either they're reluctant to run it, they don't want to run it. Like, this is a lot of questions are going through my mind right now as the Punisher is left out to be banned here. So we're finally going to see Starkiller on something else other than the Punisher after 3 maps. What that may be, could be the Hela that they saved out. Maybe we see a Star-Lord potentially channeled here. No Phoenix could open up the Rocket. Gambit Loki still available. Iron Man has been taken off the board.
All right.
University of Southern Maine is like, I don't want to deal with any of this.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, they do give over the dual pool. So, you're not getting all of the target bans, but you still got 2/3 of them this time around. Another kind of key thing that University of Southern Maine don't look to be leveraging, at least when we see these kind of early attacker spawn hovers. They didn't ban the Namor, so if they're forced to try and go for that swap again, they at least have the benefit of the Hela Namor team-up that we've seen a lot of teams leverage in the past. But you mentioned Star-Lord, and we were talking about whether University of Southern Maine would play it, but Pace was like, I think I'll be having a piece of that.
Dude with hair, playing like what, his fifth unique hero, if not 6th, this series so far. Starkiller, previously the Punisher player for University of Southern Maine, will be piloting that Hela. And this Angela, I guess the save was for, I mean, this map specifically. This specific map within Hydra Chartera's base is arguably one of Angela's best maps, because they can just take you into the abyss, into the lava with relative ease. And if you're playing something like a Strange, like a Magneto that they've been so, potent on, which has been banned out by University of Southern Maine, you have the ability to take them off the map here. Although this is the first Van pool we're going to be seeing from University of Southern Maine, the first Van pool in general, which in my mind, the best version of Deadpool available. Let's see if SSKC Brown can pilot this and use that banhammer to effectiveness.
Also, again, the Gambit Loki from University of Southern Maine plus the Rocket, so you also get a BRB. I think this composition from University of Southern Maine, even though it's very scrappy, it's kind of designed to set Starkiller up to be able to hit some shots on the Hela. It does have a pretty solid strategy there. Good kidnap, but the jump there was on deck for Nitro Orbs. He was able to come back, let the katanas fly, but that is the weakness of the dual pool. Bro has very limited HP, so he can only be in there for a short period of time before he's got to backtrack to the rest of his team.
Dude with hair did go down early, but that hasn't given University of Southern Maine the fight win just yet, as they're both contesting on point at the moment. A lot of the Huskies are getting low, and SSKC Brown, unfortunately, does go down with the ultimate up. That is a backbreaker. J11 as well, being taken for a ride, and with no actual frontline for the Huskies, who is going to stop Nitro Orb and Dude with Hair just firing into your frontline? Or what is your Hela, your Gambit, your Loki, your Rocket? Like, there's nothing to protect them here.
Yeah, like, the whole win condition for University of Southern Maine is like J11 has to be alive and he has to be displacing the front line. He has to move Blaster's shield away from the front line so that Starkiller can get some of those Night Sword Thorns down range, hopefully try and find a backliner or find an angle onto Dude with Hair, but locked in this little choke here, that just will not happen. A Raging Royal Flush now going to come out, but an Eye of Agamotto though from Blaster to shut it all down.
4-man Agamotto Blaster. How many times are you gonna get away with it? How many times is University of Southern Maine just not gonna keep track of Blaster? He's not even doing anything fancy, CB. He's just walking forward, pressing W, and then pressing Q. That's it.
That's aura. What are you supposed to do? Bro is aura farming at you, and like, I don't know, what are you even supposed to do at that point? Like, you're just scared, right?
I guess so. I mean, no invis to push them out, no cleanse coming out from the Gambit. No one's really paying attention, and it feels like Pace are looking to take this round here. 75% and counting. Raging Royal Flies from Akechi Guro does come down. Sign of Seduction is a good counter. And here comes Dude with Hair. Galactic, a legend, gets thrown down. And SSKC Brown does take one moment to eliminate their counterpart. And here comes the Goddess of Death, along with the Heaven's Retribution. A lot being burned for this round win. Pretty much everything and the kitchen sink. Thrown for a point flip. USM doesn't have the resources to fight this, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to have that Sign of Seduction online, and Pace also invested quite a bit. In fact, invested everything. You know, Nitro Orb falls despite not using either of the Deadpool ultimates, but will be forced back, you know, to 0%. That's what happens when you die as Deadpool. You lose all of your ultimate charge, so it's at a net neutral, and University of Southern Maine, despite seemingly overinvesting, come out ahead.
Yeah, these spears are getting annoying as J11 looking to skewer Blaster around. Blaster's just not able to play the game. He's not able to actually have free control of his movement. And like you mentioned, that Sound of Seduction coming in for University of Maine. Not really to pick up any eliminations, but to at least stall some time here, gather more percentage, force Pace back, who's at 91%. Rage and Royal Flush is available. They're going to pop it. It's the copied version from Unknown Bow. I have Agamotto once again lands onto multiple members, but this time around, not everybody goes down. It's a 1-for-1 overall. Unknown Bow is taken. We do have the Banhammer, I believe, thrown down. Never mind, actually, it is Pop Quiz. So he's looking for a potential jackpot. Pace, Cobalt, come away with the fight win. University of Southern Maine, though, Akechiguro, Rage and Royal Flush available. Heaven's Retribution as well, 95% in counting for Pace. Can they actually get a TP off? Can they make it? Can they put it into overtime?
I don't believe they can. Yeah, no, it had to be up to J11 to be able to try and get the touch there if they were ever going to get one. But you could see University of Southern Maine were positioned so far forward that Pace were never going to get the opportunity to do that. They had every angle on lockdown. Good heads-up play coming out, and now Pace are one sub-map, one Eldritch Monument, perhaps, away from taking this series. And they get to hold on to an invisible boundary, so they have another tool they can use reactively. If Akechiguro tries to get cute with that Rage and Royal Flush, Pace have the play again for it. And I mean, it's been Blaster every other time, right? Like, we keep talking about these Eye of Agamotto plays. He's literally just waiting for the Rage and Royal Flush to come into his waiting arms and says, I've got a gift for you, my friend.
Yeah, stopping the momentum, being able to eliminate through it consistently has been the backbreaker for University of Southern Maine. This time around, though, Akechiguro doesn't have to worry about that. No Eye of Agamotto available. If the Huskies are smart, they will use J11's Heaven's Retribution to bait out Choco's invisible boundary and then respawn with the Rage and Royal Flush here. Let's see if USM are thinking that far ahead or if just going to throw everything and hope for a team fight win. As we see
That's basically how Moon Knight works. You just throw everything. Yeah, you just throw everything. You hope for a team fight win. That's how Moon Knight works. That's all you got to do to play him. Onk down range, catches onto the back line, and good damage coming out. Actually nearly takes down Choco Cat, which would have been a win condition in its own right. Because remember, I said they have the invisible boundary. If you can take that out of commission before the fight kicks off properly, you are good to go.
Royal Flush gets used and not too much available. Nice skewer, though, coming out from Jay. Unfortunately, not able to pick up any of the strategists. Other trip does go down, and Choco holding on to this invisible boundary, which is going to allow University of Southern Maine to pick up the team fight win. Jackpot has been taken. And unfortunately, Nitro Orb does not cash out, loses all of his chips here. And the Huskies take a team fight win.
Yeah, I think Choco Cat saw the Emma Frost go down early on there, saw the other trip fall, and got cold feet on the ultimate and decided not to let it rip and just give it over to University of Southern Maine. So only 18% on deck for Pace Cobalt Blue right now, but they've got 4 ultimates here. They could combo that Galactic Legend with a Sonic Seduction, and looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. But there's another Psionic Seduction on the other side that's just as deadly.
Yeah, big Eye of Agamotto once again! 4 members! Blaster! You keep doing it every single time! 4-man Agamotto. Shibby, I can close my eyes and just guess how many people he's going to hit with it at this very moment.
It's usually going to be, I mean, if there were more, he would be in double digits right now, but unfortunately it's only a 6v6 game, so that's the max, but surely that 6-man will come on deck at some point in time. University of Southern Maine have to give up the point. We're going to have a Rage and Royal Flush coming out from Unknown Bow, but what do they follow it up with? Heaven's Retribution is their only other ultimate, and I don't see a whole lot of tools here.
You mentioned not a lot of tools. Eternal Bond does get used for Keyboy, as well as Nitro Orb has built up either the pop quiz or the skill issue. We'll see what he's actually going to end up using. As he's dashing around, CYA finally gets popped from the University of Southern Maine, and that's going to allow SSKC Brown on the Emma Frost of all to pick up a Quadra. That was the swap that maybe University of Southern Maine needed.
And we're going back and forth here. The pendulum swinging back and forth on Eldritch Monument. Neither team wanting to give until the bell is rung. And Pace, no ultimates coming into this next fight. Heaven's Retribution still online for University of Southern Maine. If they're smart, Jay will position himself somewhere where he can get a good Heaven's Retribution off, and Pace can just throw an Onk into it, get dude with hair that ultimate.
Big Heaven's Retribution lands onto multiple members, but Jay, you've got to be careful. You're flying into multiple members. HP was low, but does get healed up. Stalls them out. Moon comes down. Dude with hair drops the hand of Conchu. Starkiller still working towards it, looking for an angle on the Onk. Very well placed. Fortunately, does get blocked out. 80% on the ult. Kind of seduction comes in from SSKC Brown, and Starkiller melees other trip down, and I just don't know if Pace have the juice. Hand of Conchu finally gets built to split off the duelists and the strategists as Nitro Orb has popped the pop quiz, looking for the jackpot, only needs one more, activates it. That's a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra healing, but is it enough? Sending University of Southern Maine and Pace Cobalt into overtime, but Cobalt make the catastrophic mistake of double support ulting. That might get them the team fight win, but I don't know if it's going to win them any more maps here.
University of Southern Maine with that Raging Royal Flush, and they've got another one on deck if they should need it, but Pace, seemingly off the back of that pop quiz from Nitro Orb, should be able to put this one, find the flip somehow, some way. A couple of selfies, just a little bit more for the gram. And
wow.
One final one. We get the trifecta there coming out from Nitro Orb, the hero that Pace needed, and not a moment too soon as they nearly saw their win conditions slipping away. 70% now for Pace, one fight territory, but like I said, there's that God of Mischief, a Raging Royal Flush soon to be coming out for University of Southern Maine, a Cosmic Yarn Amplifier, and a Heaven's Retribution. There is a lot of tools and no Strategist ultimates to be able to deal with any of them.
Raging Royal Flush copied from Unknown Bow. Does get countered by the Silent Seduction here. Has to get out of dodge. Starkiller, though, drops the hand of Conchu. Heaven's Retribution on top. Confirms at least one. Akechiguro finds other trip here. And the point sent into overtime. And University of Southern Maine on their last map, potentially, right? They're down 1-2. They're going to take us into at least a final sub-map onto Hydra Charteris base. Their counter pick, Hell's Heaven, going to a map 3, Frozen Airfield, our final destination.
And as much as we've hyped up Blaster on this Doctor Strange, there's that double-edged sword of playing the Doctor Strange. If you are not dead at the right moment, you can't get a Strange TP off. Like, there was a window of opportunity to go for a teleport play, maybe even come back with that Eye of Agamotto, but it just doesn't come to fruition because Blaster goes down so late in that fight. The silver lining is it's guaranteed to be on deck if you need it for this point. But again, that same problem may rear its ugly head. Blaster has to be perfect with his timing. Like, he has to time his own death, all right? There's no other hero in the game where you have to make sure that you are dead at the right moment.
Indeed.
Yeah, that respawn timer can be absolutely lethal, especially because you're holding on to that Doctor Strange ultimate. You want to be the one to respawn first, so not, someone else doesn't swap over. You lose 50% of your ultimate charge.
By the way, Blaster with
game.
13k damage and 11 final blows as the Doctor Strange, like bro is leading the charge. That's why he doesn't want to go down.
All right. You can't do that anymore.
A little bit of whimsy, that's all we're really getting out of this. It's fun, it's cool, it's enjoyable.
Neat party trick, but like a neat party trick, gets old relatively quickly. Nitro Orb is building up towards that ultimate, though. Already at the C rank. At B is getting really close to that S, and we're going to see if he ends up popping the pop quiz here. Blaster takes down Camus. No res beacon available for University, and Pace Cobalt is looking for that jackpot. Nice use of the iframes onto the selfie. Snap a flick as you get the point for your team, Nitro.
Yeah, again, off of a Eye of Agamotto play that comes out from Blaster and Nitro Orb. I mean, the Lord Icon may not do bonus damage, but Nitro Orb doesn't need it because he got that Lord Icon through hours and hours and hours of experience on this hero, showing his skills, showing what he knows how to do best, and taking a nice rest after a hard day's work. But the work is not over, my friend. You are still one sub-map away from taking this series, and a Raging Royal Flush is staring your way.
Kechiguro, like you said, burns the Raging Royal Flush. Hand of Conchu comes down, cracking impact available for Dude with Hair, who has swapped over now away from the Punisher, away from the Star-Lord, and now looking to potentially get some resets as Keyboy with a nice Terror Cape. Nitro Orb is looking for more. Nitro Orb, he's just taking picks for the iframes. He's maxed out, by the way, on the book, has completely leveled everything up, and now we're at 50% for Pace. The map is swapping. Guys, you got to get in before the map swaps.
And Nitro almost got a little bit too comfortable there. Map almost left without him, but yeah, sat back up at the right moment there. I mean, like, what do you do if you're Pace at this point? Because you haven't been able to keep Nitro in check effectively, and every time you're looking at him, you're not looking at Blaster, who's coming up on another Eye of Agamotto. This is another win condition set up for Pace.
Multiple ultimates used by Pace. Eye of Agamotto, like you mentioned, unfortunately this time does not land, but the moon gets called down on to Pace here, and that might not be enough. SSKC Brown does get rezzed here, but there's no duelist available for the Huskies. It's Pace Cobalt Blue with the dual pool, like you mentioned. Dude with Hair on this Bucky as well. But it looks like the Huskies are going to flip the point finally after 92% has been gained from Pace here.
Big hook forces out the Diamond 4 from SSKC Brown, but able to get back to the rest of the team, get healed up there. For University of Southern Maine, like 92%, you don't have a lot of room for error. You have to be perfect with your strategist ults. You have to cycle your entire ult economy perfectly. And you don't really have any offensive tools aside from those Raging Royal Flushes, but here comes the first one. Pace have to respect it.
Sonic Seduction countered in response, along with the potential jackpot coming in from Nitro Orb, who is very deep right now, is anti, but Keyboy is there with the Eternal Bond. The moon haunts you. Starkiller drops the hand of Conju at Kechiguro with the Raging Royal Flush. SSKC Brown can be massive. CYA gets dropped from Canis to at least allow University of Southern Maine to guarantee the point, and that's going to be damage boosted off the Sonic Seduction, and it does a boatload of damage as University of Southern Maine with another fight win, 52% and counting. Pace Cobalt swapping over to the Scarlet Witch. You may just get your dream yet, CB. A fully realized reality erasure could be on the horizon.
Please let that be the win condition. Please let that be what takes us all the way home. And I gotta give a shout out to Pace. They were never gonna win that fight going up against two Raging Royal Flushes, but best case scenario, they bled both out and the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier.
Yep.
Now it's go time.
Blaster, 82%, takes out the res. Really smart from them, but Keyboy goes down. That's a crucial strategist taken away, but luckily for Pace, they've got the invisible boundary available. Nitro Orb as well has landed the jackpot once again. Lamps has gone out, and another massive Eye of Agamotto. Pace, Cobalt, Blaster, the Eye of Agamotto master comes in clean.
The University of Southern Maine, they have control of the point right now.
Wait a minute!
Jay is able to find one of the Blaster. Nitro Orb falls, 98%. There's not going to be a touch.
way!
Everyone was looking at the gram. They were scrolling Nitro Orb's feed, but they didn't see Jay in the back line wreaking havoc and stealing this one for University of Southern Maine. They demand a map number 5, and I demand a reality erasure to close it all out. I believe after Midtown, I am owed that much.
Beautiful play from the University of Southern Maine to clutch it out in the final maps. Blaster landed a massive Eye of Agamotto, but the rest of his team went down. There was virtually no follow-up, and you can see that Dude with Hair struggling for finals. They banned out the Squirrel Girl. They removed Nitro's Iron Man. They said, you know what? You've got to beat us on something else. And the Huskies respond in kind. They've got the Gambit. They've got the Loki, like you mentioned, the two strongest strategists in the game. And Starkiller, along with SSKC Brown, coming up huge. 15 finals for the Emma Frost. Rightfully deserves the MVP. And Starkiller trailing behind on the Moon Knight, just applying a crap ton of pressure. Very well played to the University of Southern Maine as we get a map 5, your first one of the NECC, CB.
I went through the entire the entire fall semester didn't get a single map 5. I went through all of playoffs. I think maybe if I was lucky, if I was a good girl that day, I got 4, but today I get 5. And all I want is that reality erasure to be the cherry on top. Dude with hair, you gotta give it to me. It's the only way I will go home happy, but I'll still be, you know, at the very least content with what I've seen coming out from Pace. You know, the dual pool, it's flashy, it's cool, it's getting a lot done, it's splitting off the backline quite effectively, but the problem is there's 3 of that backline, and it's consisting of 2 of the most powerful strategists in the game, like you said, the Loki and the Gambit. There's always going to be a win condition on deck for University of Southern Maine, and maybe now we have to go back to that pick and ban question, right? Like, if you're University of Southern Maine, you're going for all these target bans. You're banning out Iron Man. You're banning out Squirrel Girl. You're leaving Gambit and Loki on the table completely untouched. You're trying so hard to put all of the focus onto Nitro Orbs dual pool making so that that's the only viable way forward for Pace. It's up to Blaster to try and make up the deficit when Dude with Hair can't be the one to do it, but it's just not enough to overcome simple math, right? Like simple damage numbers when applied to that Rage and Roll flush.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the best comp, you can have the best comfort picks, but when you face off against 2 like god tier strategists, some of the best in the game in Gambit,
one is
and
a
Loki,
literal god, by the way.
Yeah, one is a literal god, quite literally, and is copying a godlike ultimate. It's really tough to go against it. One Rage and Royal Flush, doable, counterable, sure. But unless you've got another answer, maybe it was the Sign of Suction, maybe it was the Reality Erasure, it's really tough to play it. And we thought they had that fight. They were able, like you said, to bleed out the Rage and Royal Flushes. They were able to bleed out the CYA. You even had the Invisible Boundary coming in from Pace Cobalt, but it still just wasn't enough. And with that, they're able to force us to a map 5. But because of that, because we have 2 more maps at played and we have this last final map, we are going to give these teams a very short break as they load in, select the final map. It is Pace Cobalt's choice, so we could go anywhere, quite literally, potentially the Museum of Contemplation. But what I want you guys to do is not go anywhere, because we have a very short break as we get both teams loaded in for some more NECC Marvel Rivals action. Welcome back. It was a short break. I'm still Shibby, that's still CB, as we get into our final map between the University of Southern Maine and Pace Esports. Back to back to back. I mean, just look at the map score, right? Burn-In T'Challa for Huskies, Central Park in Midtown for Pace, and Hydro Charteris Base. Again, a domination map for the Huskies. As CB, we go to Kunlun. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm a big Heart of Heaven enjoyer. I think, you know, if you're Huskies though, there is that one worry. Are you just domination merchants? Because you've won on Burn It T'Challa, you've won on Hell's Heaven. Can you get it done on a convoy or a convergence? You got to be able to get at least one if you're ever going to win a series, especially one that goes to 5 maps. And I think it's a good read that comes out from Pace to take it to a convergence, especially after such a strong performance on Central Park. And I think that also, for better or for worse, kind of puts the onus onto University of Southern Maine to ban that Squirrel Girl yet again, or, you know, try and avoid, there's so many things, right? Like we talked about how you can't just keep banning out like the Squirrel Girl, the Iron Man, the Scarlet Witch. You can't go for all of these aggressive target bans. You have to try and set yourself up for success. Ban for what you want to play, not what you want the other team to not play.
Say that 10 times fast and see if you can do it as we get into the bans.
You're lucky I said it once and didn't flub it.
As Pace opting in to save that dual pool, like you said, a little flashy, had its moments, but definitely can feel like it's doing nothing as the Hella is being banned away. University of Southern Maine didn't actually even play Hella, really. It was on the first map there for a little bit with the Goddess, but they swapped over immediately and started winning here. So Squirrel Girl removed. This Protect could be used on the Punisher here with no Magneto in play. Maybe Starkiller is going to opt into that. The Angela, I think Angela is actually doing stuff. I know that sounds crazy, but I think Jay has been really disruptive on the Angela. It doesn't show up on the scoreboard necessarily, but the fact that you are consistently moving the tanks around and forcing Pace to play a little bit differently actually is annoying.
I mean, and it is showing up in the KO feed. It's just the problem is that every time we do see it in the KO feed, it's while we're hyper fixated on that dual pool and all the flashy plays, all the selfies. You know, like I said, we're scrolling through the Gram feed. It's not really what we need to be focusing on right now. It's that Angela lurking in the skies. But you were alluding to it, the Loki ban coming through. That's something else we're going to have to pay close attention to, saying you can have the Gambit, sure, but you only get one.
Yeah, you mentioned one Raging Royal Flush is, you know, doable, especially with Pace, especially with Blaster, who has been Eye of Agamottoing every single one. Surely, after 4 maps, University of Southern Maine is like, hey, if we use this, make sure we know where Blaster is. Make sure we know where this strange is lurking, hiding in the shadows.
Can I give you a hot take? I think that the Gambit Instaban in pro play, I think it's overrated. I think it's going to be out the door before long. I haven't seen it in scrims yet. I think people are still too afraid to be the first team to take that risk, but I think it's beatable. I think especially with things like with Mantis triple strat, you can overcome at the very least a single Gambit. If you get the Loki ban through, I think you're fine. Like, I just don't think you have to worry about it, you know? I think people are still a little bit too afraid of that Raging Royal Flush, but he's getting, like, micro nerfs. Little by little, bro is going to be given the torch treatment.
Or the Loki treatment prior to being brought back up, where they nerfed him, and then they completely took his knees out. We'll see if Gambit finally gets, you know, out of permaban jail, because I feel bad for the Gambit players, right? They just can never play this really cool hero that's got a lot of depth, a lot of different abilities.
Dozens of them.
Literally the dozen of them that still exist here. As Blaster, 11% on the ultimate charge and gets his shield taken out immediately. First time we're seeing Groot here. J11 dropping that final map here for it. Maybe they were saving strats on the side of Huskies. They didn't want to bust out the Groot until it was absolutely necessary. As Groot Moon Knight available for both of these two. Drop of a hat, team fight win every single time.
Yeah, I think especially on that last map, you know, Starkiller learned that the Punisher might be a little bit overrated, went for the Protect on it in the pick and ban phase, but that's a bait and switch. Moon Knight is actually where the money is right now, and Dude with Hair showing us why. An early hand of Khonshu. Even though it doesn't find any KOs, it does split University of Southern Maine up. There is an opportunity there, but as they collapse back onto each other, and Nitro Orb tries to seize the moment, Starkiller will seize his life.
Oh! Dude with Hair says, whatever you failed at Nitro Orb, I will avenge you. A nice unk into double Moonblade. Takes down both the Rocket and the Moon Knight, who Sonic Seduction comes in for other trip. Unfortunately, unable to do anything. And Dude with Hair actually takes down Starkiller again. Eye of Agamotto lands onto 2. Unknown, though, quick with the invisible boundary. This time around is able to protect their team. Dude with Hair has built up another Moon Knight ultimate, by the way. A minute and a half and 2 Moon Knight ultimates have gone down, both on the sides of Pace Cobalt Blue. Starkiller does have his available, and I don't think it's going to result in too much. Keyboy does go down. Someone's still contesting point. Do we have a potential TP ready as J11 Strangling Prison available? None of the Vanguards are going to swap. Will they be able to contest? Can they just walk in?
It looks like that's what's going to happen. Yeah, Blaster not going for the TP play. And no one from University of Southern Maine making the swap. There was a touch. I think there was an Invis woman that just popped out of nowhere. Was that...
You need to stop that vehicle in its tracks.
I thought that was Starkiller actually trying to fly in. I don't know. But Nitro Orb, unfortunately, does get taken down.
They got swatted like a bug. Yeah, Nitro Orb just got, like, completely punked out there.
Obliterated with the ultimate in hand as well, right? Losing that big momentum shift potentially for Pace Cobalt Blue. J11, Strangling Prison available. Canis has that CYA. We've also got a combo here. CYA plus Sonic Seduction has been useful for the Huskies as that gets popped out. Guys, shoot it. Shoot it. Dude with Hair, shoot it. Shoot it. It's right there.
No, bro's got bigger problems. That's SSKC Brown right in his face right there with that Psychic Spear. Taking down the other trip as well, and the Amplifier plus the Groot ultimate, you don't even need the Hand of Khonshu. Just like so much damage ends up coming out from those Thornlash walls and from, you know, just the raw Crescent Darts that you can't really overcome it without a Strategist ult. So Pace just have no choice but to fold. But now with the spawn advantage, they're going to force a play out of University of Southern Maine. Hand of Khonshu coming out. But Dude with Hair is the one who ends up finding the KOs.
Yeah, Hand of Khonshu into Ankh Moonblade. Just a deadly, deadly combo, especially in this specific corridor, tunnel, whatever you want to call it. Such an enclosed space, and Dude with Hair wants more aggressively going forward. Luckily, his team is there to bail him out. Keyboy, Eternal Bond available. Nitro Orb on the dual pool. Which one is he going to use? Pop Quiz potentially on the table, as well as Skill Issue. Cobalt as well. Blaster unable to get a really solid Eye of Agamotto, has been kept in check here, as now Eternal Bond plus Sign of Seduction is going to come in. Can Blaster look around the corner? Is he going to go for something? Invisible Boundary available. That means that this Eye of Agamotto could be deadly, as it's going to come out of nowhere.
He's going to have to come out sooner rather than later. He's backing off. Another Hand of Khonshu coming out, splitting off University of Southern Maine, but as Unknown Bow falls, I mean, you maybe don't even need this Eye of Agamotto anymore. You've taken out one of the key members, and there's Starkiller as well. Blaster does not need an ultimate, just casually takes down 3.
And a CIA was dropped. I wonder if Other Trip was able to block it, right? Block the LOS so that no one was able to get it here. SSKC Brown, last one left onto the point right now, just stalling for time. I wonder if anyone's going to be able to contest here. J11 does have the Strangling Prison available, but it looks like it gets blocked out. What a block from Pace Cobalt. 2.22 meters. Nice from the Other Trip to pick up 2 off of the diamond form, and J11 just made that way too obvious.
Yeah, like just right into the Emma Frost shield. Like, it kind of was the only real play the University of Southern Maine could have gone for, is to try and go for that Strangling Prison. They didn't have the Hand of Khonshu up in time to combo it together. They just needed to make sure that they got a touch and made it as scrappy of a fight as possible. But a good read coming out from Pace, and now they can keep this forward momentum going. They're holding on to both their Vanguard ults. We're going to have another pop quiz potentially coming out from Nitro Orb, a Hand of Khonshu as well. And University of Southern Maine investing so much into that lost fight that now they don't really have any good tools to deal with any of this. Maybe a Psionic Seduction, but that ain't going to be enough, especially when Blaster has access to your backline.
Oh my god. Dude with hair drops the Hand of Khonshu, picks up more, 4 for themselves. Nitro Orb just being absolutely annoying. A mosquito for University of Southern Maine, who have not been able to get a foothold in this last couple points here. We're looking decent after that one team fight win, but after that, Pace Cobalt have been just steamrolling them, and I don't know if this group is the move into Moon Knight.
I mean, it's good with the Moon Knight, but against it, you are also struggling. Eternal Bond going to come out early on. Psionic Seduction will help shut down Nitro Orb, and Pace are investing. They want to get this hold. They don't want to let this spiral out of control, and a lot of members captured from that Psionic Seduction. There's the Hand of Khonshu now going to come out, but Starkiller has got one as well, and it's going to split both teams straight down the middle, and it's going to be University of Southern Maine that end up coming ahead in this one as the KOs start to fly. They're taking down the Moon Knight on the other side. Now with the swap over onto the thing, SSKC Brown able to stand his ground, but it's time for another pop quiz and a damage amp for it.
Pop quiz comes in looking for that jackpot. Unfortunately, unable to get it. SSK gets him with the haymaker. Meet the streets of Yancey as he's going to swap over to the thing. Again, I don't really love the thing right into Moon Knight, but I guess in a vacuum, it counters Nitro Orb. It deals with Blaster, who is running that shield comp, right, with Pace Cobalt along with Emma. The vulnerability that's been able to apply can be lethal, but what a teleport, giving them free access. A dude with hair can just free fire into University of Southern Maine. Though Starkiller does drop the Hand of Khonshu. Nitro Orb isn't playing around here as Blaster lands a one-man Eye of Agamotto, because that was pretty much only that was left for the University of Southern Maine. As Thing goes down, Strangling Prison comes in, but no follow-up means you're not able to confirm any of this. And with the flick for the gram, Pace Cobalt Blue are able to get 3 points on the board with 18 seconds in the time bank.
But you called it out as well. I did really like that Thing swap, because if you're playing this this dual pool kind of like a melee hero, you're playing him kind of the same way you would a Wolverine, right? Like, what hard counters a Wolverine? It's a Thing. You just keep hitting those haymakers, grounding him, stop him from bouncing on your head like the mosquito that we've described him as, and you're able to end up taking the duel with him a lot more effectively than J11 can on that group by himself. You did see some good Strangling Prisons and some good synergy coming out between J11 and Starkiller while he was on that Moon Knight, but like you said, you just kind of get shredded by dude with hair. You know, the walls get broken down. 18 final blows for dude with hair. Bro is able to farm those Hands of Khonshu like he's playing Stardew Valley.
Yeah, and now we see University of Southern Maine popping to Old Faithful potentially for them as Canis on the Jeff. Starkiller swapping over to that Storm. Jeff NATO is on board. Nekechiguro waiting for their food, looking like me after my dinner is late.
Waiter? I've been here. I saw the table behind me. They came in after me. They've already been served. Where can I at least get some more breadsticks? Like, what are we doing here?
The battle starts in 5,
Nekechiguro
4,
focusing up right now as Nitro Orb.
1.
Still on the dual pull. Pace Cobalt feel like they don't need to really change anything, and I completely understand as my
Blaster needs to change the
observer.
sensitivity because I'm gonna get motion sickness.
Yeah, 3,800 DPI for Blaster. Maybe that's how he's able to get those really cool Eye of Agamottos off, but Pace Cobalt definitely keying in on this Jeff NATO. Wonder what they're going to use to counter it. As I say that, though, Jay slices Nitro Orb in half after getting grabbed by SSKC Brown. That's a big elim, but you need to be able to push in if you're University of Southern Maine. You cannot allow Nitro Orb to come back.
There's a lot of damage coming out as well. Like, Pace's hit points, like, look at their health bars. Like, they're looking like the stock market right now. Unstable as all hell. Dude with hair gonna get taken down. A University of Southern Maine should be able to get themselves on the point here. Nitro Orb taken down there by Starkiller on the Storm here. And that's a big part of why there's so much damage, right? Like, you've made this swap over onto the Storm. There is a constant damage amp that's gonna be applied to everybody on your team. You're gonna be coming up on the Jeff NATO combo of all things. Hey, if that's what you need to be able to break through Pace's defense, then so be it.
And Storm getting some changes coming into Season 6.5 made her more brawl-friendly, I would argue. The damage boost has gone down from 12 to 8%, but she gets bonus HP, right, when she lands some of her abilities. If she's in the wind form, if she's in the lightning form, or she gets more damage, or she gets more cooldowns that she can use to spam her Thunderbolt, or her Lightning Bolt, sorry. So a lot of different changes. I'm really interested to see how that happens. As I say that, though, Starkiller does go down, and Hanakontu gets dropped here. But Canis has the Jeff ultimate available, just waiting on the NATO from Starkiller, and that should be a teamfight win here.
There's going to be 6 ults coming online for University of Southern Maine. Here's the Omega Hurricane, just like you said, coupled with Canis' ultimate here. I don't know if they were used together. Going to get a skill issue that comes out there from Nitro Orb, but it's not going to be enough to shut down the Storm here. Canis with 2 in the Jeff ult, able to take down Nitro Orb. A good start here for University of Southern Maine, but it's still very scattershot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was on purpose, the desynced ultimates from Canis and Starkiller, but it ended up working out in their favor as they should get this teamfight win here. Blaster is back, but Blaster is putting it in reverse. As he's like, my team is gone. Let me just hang out here. Yeah, I mean, again,
I've been able to KO 6 before, but usually my team is at least around to see it. This time there's no one to bear witness, no one to set up that play. Like, it's just me, my friend.
Yeah, really interested to see if Canis and Starkiller can get that Sharknado combo off, as Starkiller's at 75% and Canis not too far behind. As I say that, though, Hand of Khonshu does get dropped by Dude with Hair. Doesn't land on anybody, but is able to split away the Strategists and the Vanguards, although it doesn't matter. Nice Psionic Seduction from SSKC Brown. That's going to allow them to push the point forward. And right now, the Huskies are on a maniacal pace for this convoy, as Dude with Hair finally takes down the Jeff. Are they going to rip the Omega Hurricane raw, or are they going to wait for the Jeff NATO?
I think they just wait because, like, the spawn is right there. There's going to be a Eternal Bond that comes out. Starkiller coming back, taking down Dude with Hair, and now the fight is happening so close to this checkpoint that Pace have no choice but to try and invest in order to keep this one going. Good plays coming out from Nitro Orb, as usual, taking down Canis as well, but University of Southern Maine are not willing to get this fight up just yet. Invisible Boundary coming out, but as the other trip falls, I'm not so sure how much I like this, because there's still so much more that needs to be done if you want to be able to burst through here.
3-man Eye of Agamotto puts a curtain to the plans of University of Southern Maine for continuing that fight. And they're gonna use the Omega. What are we doing? A Starkiller is gonna come in and wipe away most of Pace Cobalt. An absolutely diabolical play coming in from the clutches of University of Southern Maine, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work.
I mean, you don't even need the Jeff NATO. If everyone's on lockdown from the Heaven's Retribution, you're going to do more than enough damage just the raw Omega Hurricane. And Starkiller says, All right, that's good enough for me. I'll just go ahead and take a nice little 3-piece off of that. Don't mind if I do. Now you still get to hold on to the Jeff ultimate from Canis, and there is still environmental potential in this part of the map, so it's still not a complete loss. Hang on, strange TP from Blaster just to get back to the front lines on your left.
They're trying to get back in here. The cart has already moved, though. Jeff Nate, oh, sorry, not Jeff Nato, just the Jeffy, unfortunately unable to get anything, but does actually get out Nitro Orb's ult here, so maybe that's a trade net benefit for University of Southern Maine as Eternal Bond comes in here. Starkiller gets stunned, but it's not a big deal. Chaco has to build towards that invisible boundary, but is getting psionically seduced into the ground, and University of Southern Maine on a breakneck speed. 2 minutes and 45 seconds for this convoy to hit that third point and to send us into an overtime map.
I don't think we're still going to have 2 minutes plus when they finally get the cap, though, if they do, because there's a lot of ults about to come online. The other trip has made the swap over onto the Rogue, and Heartbreaker is going to be online. That's going to keep the tempo going in Pace's favor. That's a stagger that you cannot afford right now. Losing out on Keyboy with that Eternal Bond, that's one of your key ultimates. That's your way to buy yourself into this fight early on. Gonna be back with the rest of the team, but more cart space, and now we're in one fight territory here, and an Omega Hurricane online, and Nitro Orb ain't gonna be around to do a damn thing about it.
Starkiller absolutely lethal on here, and he's just gonna rip the Omega Hurricane on itself. This time around, though, will be matched by the Eternal Bond. You would have wished you had a Jeff Nato. Eye of Agamotto from Blaster lands onto 3 members of USM, and that should finally spell a fight win for Cobalt Blue, who haven't been able to get one for a while now.
Yeah, but just like I said, you know, they're going to have all of these ultimates. They still have the Heartbreaker, still have the Invisible Boundary, good defensive tools. And now Dude with Hair actually made the swap over onto the Gambit. So Raging Royal Flush is now something that you have to keep yourself aware of. And, you know, maybe a Jeff Nato again might be the answer, but they haven't been able to sync it up just yet. Heaven's Retribution now going to come out, and no follow-up. Invisible Boundary. Choco Cat does not want to lose this fight.
Heartbreaker comes in from other trip as well, just to further the ultimate economy from University of Southern Maine, hemorrhaging it little by little. Clobbering time comes in. Jeff with the eat. Let's see how many members he's got in his stomach. It's 2, but it doesn't matter because the moment you eat them, you become prime target number 1. As Unknown Bow is going to throw down the invisible boundary, and this Nitro Orb Deadpool is absolutely lethal, just bouncing around with the katanas. 45 seconds left for University of Southern Maine. A flick for the gram in final fight territory potentially for them. If they can get a TP off, that's maybe one more, but instead Jay's gonna commit it early. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this.
Yeah, me neither. 30 seconds left, but you got to make a play one way or another. And I asked for a Reality of Rage to be the big bang that sends this fight to the end, but it might be Black with that Eye of Agamotto. He's already taken down Starkiller. Didn't even need the ult to do it.
Eye of Agamotto lands onto 2. Multiple members have already gone down for University of Southern Maine. Starkiller does have the channel available. The Omega Hurricane unable to get to the portal. You can still channel it though if you're far enough. Thing has the clobbering time available, lands onto the Heartbreaker, stops Pace Cobalt in the nick of time. Starkiller looking to wipe away the team, only able to get 1. It's just Starkiller, it's just J11. Brown is there, but he is falling by the wayside. Canis potentially has the Jeff ultimate available. Killy Boy does take down J11, and as the kill feed enters orange, more and more members are going down for the Huskies, one by one. Pace Cobalt Blue, despite having a 2-1 lead in the series, are taken to a map 5, and the Nitro Orb is going to take a pick, and they're going into overtime for University of Southern Maine.
The Nitro wants so badly to put this one out with a selfie, and one more for the gram. Blaster with another Eye of Agamotto. That has been the picture we've seen 1,000 times. And despite Pace Cobalt Blue being on the red team, it's all Cobalt Blue in the KO feed. And they will take map number 5, 3-2 on Heart of Heaven with an ironclad defense at the very end. And with a little bit of style as well from Nitro Orb. You can't be mad at it.
Not at all, as Dude with Hair playing a multitude of different heroes this series. 50 and 8 and 19 though, was on the Moon Knight, had swapped over to the Gambit at the last second here just to provide their team with a little bit more oomph. Nitro Orb, the Soul Duelist, 15 final hits. That's not a Gambit with 24 finals, by the way, guys. That was a Moon Knight that then had to swap over to Gambit. Yeah, that was Moon Knight. I need to make that abundantly clear. Blaster coming in with a massive scoreline of 48, 6, and 7. 15 finals here. Beautiful, beautiful series from University of Southern Maine and Pace Cobalt Blue. 3-2 in the favor of Pace University, though. Insane play. Insane.
It's just kind of unfortunate for University of Southern Maine that they have to reach so deep into their pockets to try and pull out that Jeff NATO, something that they clearly didn't practice because they weren't able to execute on that combination. You know, you can see the Lord icon. You know, Canis does play that Jeff often, would know how to make that one happen. But if you haven't scrimmed it with your team, if you haven't practiced it, you're not always going to have the comms ready to go when you need it. But nevertheless, she was still able to hit some pretty big Jeff ults. It's just a shame that they got scouted out, they got snuffed out before she was able to get full value off of that Jeff pick. But I still like what I see from University of Southern Maine, right? Like, they're showing that they are willing to dig deep. They're not willing to tap out and give up and, you know, just, keep trying the same stuff over and over again, knowing it's not going to work. No, they will reach a little bit deeper into their toolkit, pull out something that we hadn't seen the rest of the series and nearly make it work. It was enough to get them through points A and B, but at C, when the swaps came back from Pace, it just stalled out.
Yeah, tough for University of Southern Maine here. You would have hoped that some of those swaps happened earlier, maybe in potentially one of those two maps that they lost, whether it was the Convoy or Convergence. To your point, CB, it looks like maybe, just maybe, University of Southern Maine are domination merchants. They've got to work on some of the other maps here, but good job to Pace University and coming out on top, right? Probably didn't expect to get taken to a map 5. Felt like they might have had that domination map under wraps after completely, taking over that first sub map that we mentioned. But USM pushed them to the limits, pushed them to the brink here, and they're going to come out with a 3-2 victory. And with that, we are actually going to take a bit of an extended break as we have our next matchup ready for Collegiate Marvel Rivals. So in this time, I am going to recommend going somewhere, going to the bathroom, getting a snack, do what you need to do, as we are going to be back for some more NECC Marvel Rivals action between two new collegiate teams.